It's Thursday, February 12th. Today on Your Morning Atlantic, another winter wallop. Another dumping of fresh snow resulting in some slippery road conditions this morning. Your top news headlines in the forecast just ahead.
And safety first. We'll speak with two initiatives who are trying to promote and improve safety for Nova Scotians.
Plus, adventure is for everyone. We'll get the details on a new travel guide featuring Nova Scotia's Eastern Shore. All that and so much more just ahead on the Thursday edition of Your Morning Atlantic.
Come on in. It's almost 6:01 on this Thursday, February 12th, 2 days away from Valentine's Day. Got some Valentine's colors popping already.
Oh, yeah.
We
Gotta
love
be
that.
ready.
Gotta be ready. I love a theme. I love a theme.
Love a theme. Do you love the snow?
I did actually think it was really pretty coming in today. I thought if you can't beat it, join it. And I was it was slippery and difficult, of course, to drive around. And if you don't have to leave the house, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because it is slippery. The fewer people on the roads, the safer it'll be. But yeah, I decided to think it was beautiful. What about you?
It looks kind of like a snow globe outside, which is really pretty. Big flakes falling. But yes, like you said, slippery, and conditions on the roads are not that great as of yet.
No.
Yeah.
Gotta tell you, one of the most romantic things my husband does is getting up at 3 a.m. to clear the driveway for me before I head to work. He uses a snow blower. I've mentioned this before. That is romance, right?
Oh my gosh!
What a man! What a man!
Yeah, what a man! Yes. He'd have to use the super horsepower snowblower today because that is some heavy snow.
Yeah, it was. Well, you know what? I found yesterday afternoon it was quite heavy when I shoveled in the afternoon. And then this morning I actually found it a little bit lighter, at least for our driveway. But you know what? Roads are still really slick, and there were a number of fender benders reported in the Halifax area last night. So it's kind of sticking with that theme of you said, if you can stay home, do so. This is usually the hour we're going to start to get those school closures, if there are any. They'll start rolling in right around now.
We'll definitely be keeping our eye on that. But really, what is happening in the weather today, Latavia?
Well, we're definitely seeing it start to taper off for parts of the maritime regions. Still going quite heavy for Cape Breton Island, parts of eastern Nova Scotia. Other than that, though, we are going to wake up to a lot of flurry activity for the maritime region. Here's a live look at Kitty Vitty. So we are seeing some heavier snowfall over there as well. We do have snowfall warnings in effect. Freezing drizzle still remains, so keep that in mind when you are heading out early this morning. -3 degrees starting off your day in Fredericton, -2 in Charlottetown, -1 in Sydney, 0 into St. John's, Newfoundland. Taking a look at that wind chill, still going to feel quite cool this morning for many areas across the region, and still a risk of frostbite over in Labrador City. So here's the look at the snowfall warning still remaining for parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island until this afternoon. Seeing snowfall at around 5 to 10 centimeters for the most part. The heaviest being over in Cape Breton Island, could see 15 to 35 centimeters of accumulation. A snowfall warning also in effect for parts of Newfoundland until this evening, looking at around 5 to 25 centimeters of accumulation. A freezing drizzle advisory also in effect for today. Same thing goes for Newfoundland, Labrador rather. Snowfall warning until this evening, until Friday actually. 20 to 30 centimeters could be falling over there, and a freezing drizzle advisory. So here's a look at our satellite and radar, still dealing with this system across parts of the region. Early this morning on New Brunswick, parts of Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia dealing with flurry activity as that snow starts to taper off. But for parts of Cape Breton Island, eastern Nova Scotia, still dealing with that heavier snowfall today. And Newfoundland and Labrador, same thing applies, but we also have a bit of mixed precipitation still looming for parts of Newfoundland and into Labrador. Here's a look at the current wind. Will continue to pick up into the afternoon today. As of right now, 43 kilometers per hour in Canso, 39 in Sydney with 33 in Moncton, and wind gusts getting up to 57 kilometers per hour in Sydney, 52 in Canso, 41 in Charlottetown, 46 in Moncton. We'll take a look at your long-range forecast just ahead, but first a look at your local news with Amanda.
Thank you, Latavia, and that is where we begin. Maritimers are waking up to another dumping of snow. Here's a look at the cleanup that's underway in the Bears Lake area of Halifax this morning. It is windy out there. Snowplow operators have been working throughout the night trying to keep roads clear and stay ahead of the snowfall. Still, roads are slick and snow covered in many areas thanks to this Alberta Clipper. Those closures and any impacts regarding the storm should be coming in shortly. Now, these are some images from Middle Sackville, Nova Scotia last night. Deteriorating road conditions being blamed for a number of collisions overnight, including this one on Millwood Drive in Middle Sackville. We're still waiting for official details on that one. Also last night, reports of power lines on fire and at least one transit bus off the road and a fire truck stuck. And at Halifax Stanfield last night, a Porter airline flight from Toronto slid off the runway while taxiing, prompting the closure of that runway. No one was hurt. Passengers were transported via buses to the terminal from the aircraft. The runway remains closed until the aircraft has been removed. The airport warns other flights may be impacted this morning due to winter weather. Anyone heading to the airport is encouraged to check their flight status with their airline. As mentioned, those closures starting to come in. We can tell you that all Halifax Regional Centre for Education schools, those are closed for today due to road conditions. That's just coming in. To post-secondary now, Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick will remain closed until Saturday.
I know some people who have gone to Moncton or gone to other places because they're scared. I think the university did the right thing in closing the schools.
The campus was first shut down yesterday due to a concerning message discovered Monday that referenced February 11th, 2026. There's now a heavy police presence on campus. Neither the school or the RCMP would reveal what the concerning message was, but police do not think there's any concern for public safety. A statement from Mount A says the safety and well-being of the school community is its highest priority. A 41-year-old Moncton man has been charged with first-degree murder in connection with the case that dates back to 2021. In October of that year, police were called to a home in St. Paul to reports of a sudden death. The woman was identified as 33-year-old Hyde Jockelman. Investigators say new information emerged in the following years, and yesterday, Alex Beers was charged with first-degree murder, unlawful confinement, and failure to provide the necessities of life. He remains in custody with another court date coming up in a couple of weeks. A major bridge spanning the Miramichi River in northeastern New Brunswick will be closed for repairs for 8 months, beginning April 1st. The 59-year-old Centennial Bridge needs new decks on its north and south approach spans, which will require another 8-month closure in 2027. The province's transport minister confirmed yesterday the province had awarded a contract for the next phase of the project, which has been on hold for years. The 1.1-kilometer-long bridge is a focal point in the city of Miramichi and is one of the largest structures in the province. PEI's new premier plans to shuffle his cabinet later today. Rob Lance was sworn in as premier earlier this week after winning the leadership of the ruling PC party. A ceremony to swear in the new members of cabinet is planned for this afternoon at Government House. Retail theft and rising crime was the focus at Halifax City Hall on Wednesday. Businesses urged council to approve the police budget, including more officers dedicated to patrolling the streets on foot. CTV's Jesse Thomas has more.
Greater police presence is needed in shopping districts across Halifax to address the rise in what retailers are calling sophisticated organized retail theft.
But our big ask for the downtown and the Spring Garden area is to have a community policing office. We don't have, and to go back to basically foot patrol. So community-based policing might be in a car, but we actually need boots on the ground.
It is crime that has been escalating since COVID, and it's not just crime, it's, drug sales, it's drug use.
The Retail Council of Canada says thefts are increasing, and so too are organized crime groups cashing in on stolen goods by selling on the black market.
Overall, crime rates might be going down, but retail crime rates are going up.
Increased thefts mean increased cost to businesses who are spending more on security, but there's larger community impacts, says Cormier.
Where big retailers have just upped and left entire neighborhoods. That impacts the tax base, but it also impacts the neighborhoods.
Halifax police are proposing a $103 million operating budget. That's a 2.2% increase from last year. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
Thank you, Jesse. That is your first look at your local news headlines. And as I mentioned, the school closures starting to come in. So I can tell you right now, students in the HRM not going to school today.
I don't blame. I think it's pretty nasty on the road. Stay.
Yeah, not a shock.
Okay, something's oversized when it can be seen from space. And that is the case with this massive crack in the ice in the middle of Lake Erie. Scientists say the opening in the ice is 80 miles long, or close to 130 kilometers, and this is due to the unusually cold conditions this winter. Almost 95% of the Great Lake is entirely covered in ice. But those are the visible cracks from space.
Wow.
The NOAA satellite service shared the image on its socials and said, quote, maybe the ice is all it's cracked up to be on Lake Erie. I love a little Great Lake science humor.
Who doesn't? Also, what a lovely little jingle they have in the background.
They do indeed. I do. The NOAA is winning today on this. on this day. Yeah, we love it. It's cold though. I actually noticed in our region, I will say, mild. It was snowy but mild. In fact, my house was dripping, and I was trying to clean off the car. I was getting giant blobs of water. I'm like,
Oh no! You're the umbrella for that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's also something to keep in mind, icy conditions, right?
Yeah, because it can change in an instant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, stay put, because we have lots more to come, including the latest from British Columbia. We'll have that look at your national news headlines on this Thursday morning. And Latavia has more details on this Alberta Clipper, when it's going to be out of the region. We're looking forward to that. Beautiful view of the park just in uptown St. John.
Lots of snow.
Street. Lots of fresh snow there. The forecast is next.
Good morning and happy Thursday. The time now is 6:14. We're taking a live look at Lunenburg, -1 starting off your day. Still dealing with a chance of some isolated flurries today. Weather is brought to you by ALC.ca. It is a warmer start to the day, although colder when you factor in that wind chill as well as those breezy winds. As of right now, -3 degrees heading outdoors in Fredericton, -2 over in Charlottetown, -3 in Halifax, -1 in Sydney and St. John's, Newfoundland. Here's a look at that snowfall warning remaining for parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island until this afternoon. So for the most part, looking at around 5 to 10 centimeters of accumulation. Heaviest being over Cape Breton Island at around 15 to 35 centimeters. We do have a snowfall warning also in effect for parts of Newfoundland until this evening. Snowfall ranging from 5 to 25 centimeters, and freezing drizzle advisory also in effect for today. We do have a freezing drizzle advisory also in effect for parts of Labrador, with a snowfall warning this evening until Friday, getting up to 20 to 30 centimeters of accumulation. So here's a look at our forecast timeline. For the most part, for the Maritimes, we are dealing with some lighter snowfall, transitioning over to a chance of flurries for the remainder of the day. And then for Cape Breton Island, eastern Nova Scotia, still going to see that heavier snowfall throughout the day. Could see a risk of some snow squalls developing as well. And then for Labrador, seeing snow across much of the province. Newfoundland, still dealing with snow and or freezing drizzle or drizzle. So keep that in mind when you are heading out. We could see some slippery conditions. For our daytime highs, it's definitely going to warm up above seasonal for parts of the Maritime region, but still dealing with this system tracking across much of Atlantic Canada. Starting to see some sunshine, though, as that flurry activity clears out of parts of New Brunswick and into the southwestern region of Nova Scotia. Into this evening, we start to see this system clear out a bit more for the Maritimes. Still dealing with it over in Cape Breton Island, eastern Nova Scotia, Newfoundland and Labrador, still dealing with that mixed precipitation as well. Taking us into early Friday morning, still dealing with a bit of that snowfall. If you're wondering about snowfall totals, this is additional to what we've already received. Looking at around 1 to 5 centimeters for parts of northern New Brunswick, 1 to 10 still remaining across Prince Edward Island, and looking at 1 to 10 centimeters for parts of Nova Scotia, but also going to see around 15 to 30 for North Mountain. And then for Labrador, looking at around 1 to 5 centimeters of additional accumulation, and for Newfoundland, around 1 to 30 centimeters, the heaviest being into St. Anthony. Here's a look at our forecast today for New Brunswick. We are going to see daytime highs between -4 to +2. We do have flurry activity starting off the day, clearing out, leaving a mix of sun and cloud, wind gusts remaining at 40. And then for Prince Edward Island, highs between -2 to -1. Snow throughout the day today. Evening flurries expected, wind gusts of 60. Cape Breton, eastern Nova Scotia, same thing applies. We're looking at that snowfall into the late afternoon and evening, transitioning over to some flurry activity, wind gusts of 50, and daytime highs between -1 to +1. For the rest of Nova Scotia, seeing snow transition over to flurry activity and then clears out into the evening. As of right now, looking at daytime highs getting up to 0 to 1, and wind gusts of 40. For Labrador City, a high of -14 degrees today, seeing flurries transition over to some heavier snow. And then for St. John's, Newfoundland, a high of 3 degrees, dealing with snow, transitioning over to drizzle with a risk of freezing drizzle. Friday's forecast, temperatures start to cool down, although sunshine returns for much of the Maritime region. Newfoundland still dealing with some mixed precipitation lingering, and for Labrador, also seeing some snowfall. Into Friday night, much of the same expected. Pretty clear skies, though, return to the Maritime region. Into Saturday on Valentine's Day, we are going to see sunshine, temperatures cooling down for the most part. So that's a look at your weather forecast. We'll throw things over to Amanda for your national and international news headlines.
Thank you, Latavia. And a quick note when it comes to local news, all schools in Nova Scotia are closed today due to the weather. On the West Coast, today has been declared a day of mourning by the province of British Columbia. A mass shooting Tuesday in the small northeastern community of Tumbler Ridge left 9 dead, including the shooter, and more than 24 others wounded. CTV's Andrew Johnson is in the community of Tumbler Ridge and spoke to the parents of one of the victims.
This is devastating not only to our family, but to so many other families.
A heartbroken couple clutch a photo of their daughter, Kylie Smith, who didn't live to see her 13th birthday.
She was just a beautiful soul. She's a light in our family. She loved art and anime. She wanted to go to school in Toronto, and we just loved her so much.
Kylie, a grade 7 student, was shot and killed at school in the violence that began early Tuesday afternoon. The community first got wind of it when an alert was sent out, warning an active shooter may be in the area. Students at Tumbler Ridge Secondary were put in lockdown.
It was about 30 minutes into the class and the lockdown alarm went off. It's very different from every single other alarm. And Miss Steely was going down the halls telling us all to close the doors, so we closed the doors, locked them.
When RCMP arrived at the school, they encountered devastation. 6 victims were found dead, a 39-year-old female educator, 3 female 12-year-old students, including Kylie Smith, and 2 male students ages 12 and 13. 27 others were injured, including 2 who were airlifted to hospital. One of them is Maya Edmonds, whose family says she was shot in the head and is in critical condition. Police say the suspect, 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar, was found at the school dead of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Van Rootselaar lived in town and police say identified as a woman but was born biologically male. RCMP confirmed the suspect's 39-year-old mother, Jennifer Strang, and 11-year-old stepbrother Emmett were shot first at the family home before Van Rootselaar moved on to the school. A total of 9 people are dead, most children, an immeasurable loss for Tumbler Ridge and grieving families struggling in the earliest hours of a lifetime of grief.
We live here because these things don't happen.
Hold your kids tight. Tell them you love them every day. You never know. You never know.
They live here because these things don't happen. Now that it somehow has, we are seeing the people of Tumbler Ridge try to hold each other up and use their collective strength to cope as the community now turns to the unthinkable task of planning funerals and celebrations of life for victims as young as 11.
CTV's Andrew Johnson reporting in Tumbler Ridge, and dozens gathered last night near the school for a vigil to honor the victims. Condolences continue to pour in from across the country and around the world to offer support to those grieving in the community. A quick break here on Your Morning Atlantic. We'll be right back with your top business headlines and also your must-see moment from TSN. That's on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Move Mornings with Aaron and Peter. Weekday mornings on Move 100. The most fun in the morning. And home of the $1,000 minute. Only on Move 100 Halifax.
Welcome back. It's 6:25 on this Thursday morning. It's time now to check in with the friends at TSN Sports Center for today's must-see moment.
Hello there, Kara Wagland inside the Sports Center newsroom with your must-see moment from Wednesday. And for it, we go to Charlotte, where the Hornets were hosting the Hawks. Brandon Miller gets a great screen, attacks the rim, throws down a massive one-handed slam. Look at this. Up and over we go. Huge dunk. Miller had a game-high 31, highlighted by that play right there. It is your must-see moment from Wednesday. And coming up today on TSN, the Winter Olympics continue with men's hockey. Canada kicking off their tournament against Czechia. Puck drop goes at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. That's all from Sports Center. Have a great day and enjoy the hockey.
This TSN must-see moment brought to you by J.R. Rahe's Furniture and Appliances.
Now over to your business headlines from our colleagues over at BNN.
Shopify reported its highest quarterly revenue ever of $3.7 billion U.S. That's up 31% from the same quarter in 2024. Still, investors weren't too impressed because the Canadian company did miss on another metric. The stock was down over 6% by the end of the trading day. Shopify is an e-commerce company. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 73.68. West Texas Intermediate is up to 64.46. Western Canadian Select is down to 48.18. And the TSX didn't change much. It lost 2 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
Taking a look at our 3-day forecast, still dealing with a little bit of snowfall early this morning. We'll taper off to isolated flurries, then clear, leaving a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 1. On Friday, looking at -2 degrees is your daytime high. Lots of sunshine across the province. And then on Valentine's Day, 0 with sunny skies. Flurries return into the evening. For Nova Scotia, a high of 1 degree today. Scattered flurries transitioning over to snow for Cape Breton into the evening. And then on Friday, -1. We are going to deal with sunshine across much of the province. And then on Saturday, 1 degree, sunny skies with scattered flurries returning yet again to Cape Breton. For Prince Edward Island, a high of -1. We have snow transitioning over to flurries into the evening. On Friday, -5, mainly sunny skies and sunshine on Saturday with evening flurries.
Just ahead this half hour, the Move Morning Chat. Today is National Latte Day. How do you make your morning coffee? We'll have a lovely conversation in about 15 minutes on Your Morning Atlantic. Oh, that looks so good.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. And if you are pouring a hot cup of coffee right now, we're so happy that you could join us too, as you maybe think, okay, it's another snow day. What am I going to do with the kids today? What am I going to do for work? Because we've got school closures across Nova Scotia and some delays in other parts of the region. More details coming up next. But for some kids, rejoicing that they have a snow day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I want to just bring us back to the coffee for a second. There's a delicious cup of coffee. It's so good.
Oh, yeah, the first sip.
Yeah, the other day I was doing that segment, English Jewelers in Truro, and there's a cafe right beside, and I do not remember the name of the cafe, but it's on English Street in Truro.
Yeah.
And the coffee was so good. The woman made me a latte, and I don't know, it was the tastiest latte I've had in a long, 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 long time.
Yeah. Good latte.
It was delicious and hot. Hot enough. Yeah.
Love that. And when we have our conversation coming up a little later, no matter how cold it is here, one of the hosts is going to tell you that they always have their coffee iced, even in the winter.
Really?
When I go out with my husband on the weekends, I always get an iced coffee. He gets a hot coffee, I get a cold coffee.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just really like.
That's what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Even cold lattes. Yeah.
Why not? I mean, to each their own. Weather-wise today, you may want a hot drink. A lot of people prefer tea.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not too cold starting off your day for parts of the region, but we are dealing with that snowfall, factor in that wind chill and those breezy winds. It's going to feel a lot cooler this morning. Here's a live look, as you just saw in Wentworth, still seeing flurry activity over there. Snowfall still falling for parts of Atlantic Canada. -3 degrees right now in Fredericton, -2 in Charlottetown, -3 in Halifax, -1 in Sydney, and into St. John's, Newfoundland. Factor in that wind chill, feeling a lot colder for parts of Atlantic Canada at least. Still that risk of frostbite over in Labrador City. A snowfall warning remains for parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island until this afternoon, as well as a snowfall warning in effect for parts of Newfoundland with a freezing drizzle advisory. For Labrador as well, looking at a freezing drizzle advisory and a snowfall warning in effect. Here's a look at that current system. We're still dealing with that Alberta clipper, bringing snowfall. The heavy is now being into Cape Breton Island, parts of eastern Nova Scotia. Newfoundland and Labrador also dealing with that snowfall and some mixed precipitation. In terms of the wind, continues to pick up as of right now, 39 kilometers per hour in Canso, 35 into Sydney, 33 in Grand Etang, 31 in North Cape. Wind gusts getting up to 46 kilometers per hour in Moncton, 41 in Charlottetown, 37 in Greenwood and in St. John, New Brunswick. We'll have another look at your long-range forecast just ahead, but first a look at your local news with Amanda.
Thanks, Octavia. And this snowy weather impacting schools around the region. It is a school day for students in Nova Scotia. Classes are canceled for all schools in that province. In New Brunswick, in the Anglophone South School District, all buses in the St. Stephen Education Centre, they're running on a 1-hour delay. Schools, however, will open on time. And in Prince Edward Island, for the public schools branch, some schools are on a 1-hour delay, with a further update expected to be released around 8 a.m. You can find more details on our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. And here's a look at conditions in the Halifax area this morning. This is the reason for those closures. Here are crews trying to stay ahead of the snow in Bears Lake, a popular shopping area in Halifax. Snowplow operators, they've been working throughout the night trying to keep roads clear and stay ahead of the snowfall. Still, roads are quite slick and snow covered in many areas thanks to this Alberta clipper. Road conditions also being blamed for a number of accidents overnight, including this one on Millwood Drive in Middle Sackville, Nova Scotia. We have reached out to RCMP for more details, still waiting on that. There were also reports of power lines on fire and at least one transit bus off the road last night, and a fire truck stuck. And at Halifax Stanfield last night, a Porter Airlines flight from Toronto slid off the runway while taxiing at the airport, prompting the closure of that runway. No one was hurt, and passengers were taken to the terminal by a bus from the aircraft. The runway remains closed until the aircraft has been moved. The airport also warning other flights may be impacted this morning due to winter weather. They're advising anyone heading to the airport to check their flight status with their airline before heading out. To other news, a 41-year-old Moncton man has been charged with first-degree murder in connection with a case that dates back to 2021. In October of that year, police were called to a home in St. Paul to reports of a sudden death. The woman was identified as 33-year-old Hyde Jokelman. Investigators say new information emerged in the following years, and yesterday Alex Beers was charged with first-degree murder, unlawful confinement, and failure to provide the necessities of life. He remains in custody with another court date coming up in a couple of weeks. Police in Halifax investigating the death of a woman in a tent. Police were called to a designated encampment site on Barrington Street around 2:30 Wednesday morning, and that is where they found the woman. In the afternoon, the Nova Scotia medical examiner determined the death was not suspicious. Officers were stationed at the tent site for the majority of the day. Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick will remain closed until Saturday.
I know some people who have gone to Moncton or gone to other places because they're scared. I think the university did the right thing in closing the schools.
The campus was first shut down yesterday due to a concerning message discovered Monday that referenced February 11th, 2026. There is now a heavy police presence on campus. Neither the school or the RCMP would reveal what the concerning message was, but police do not think there's any concern for public safety. A statement from Mount A says the safety and well-being of the school community is its highest priority. A major bridge spanning the Miramichi River in northeastern New Brunswick will be closed for repairs for 8 months, beginning April 1st. The 59-year-old Centennial Bridge needs new decks on its north and south approach spans, which will require another 8-month closure in 2027. The province's transport minister confirmed yesterday the province had awarded a contract for the next phase of the project, which has been on hold for years. The 1.1-kilometer-long bridge is a focal point in the city of Miramichi and is one of the largest structures in the province. BEI's new premier plans to shuffle his cabinet later today. Rob Lance was sworn in as premier earlier this week after winning the leadership of the ruling PC party. A ceremony to swear in the new members of cabinet is planned for this afternoon at Government House. Finally, this could be something to do on this snow day, especially if you have a cool grandpa like this one. Okay, so this was created by a grandpa named Steve. He built a homemade luge in his backyard for his grandkids. There he is. It's almost 300 feet or 90 meters long, and it took him more than 100 hours to build. Do you want to know what he calls it?
What?
The Papa Bear plunge. There it is.
Well done.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see it, though, you want to try it out, you're going to have to travel to Minneapolis.
I'm willing to do that. That looks great. I want to see them. Oh, here we go. I was going to say we get zipping on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
they really rip through it.
I love it.
Neat.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Listen, it's a snow day. I mean, anything could happen.
Build your own luge. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, in case you missed it, a Nova Scotia arena is going green in an effort to cut costs and pass the savings on to families. So the community arena in Lower Sackville is getting $1.3 million from Ottawa, which will cover the cost to convert from electricity to solar power later this year. It will be the first solar-powered arena in the province. And these changes could save $14,000 a month in power bills.
Wow.
And arena officials say the savings will help cover the cost of more improvements to the facility. But I bring this up in case you missed it. I know that you spent some time in this community, Amanda, so you probably know this arena well. But yeah, cool.
Absolutely. If anyone's familiar with it's kind of by First Lake. It's near the gymnastics building there. It's lots of hockey games, a lot of high school hockey games.
Shout out, yeah, the people in Lower Sackville really taking recreation seriously, and a shout out to everybody involved there.
Yeah, go Sackville Kingfishers. All right, still ahead, we're going to have your entertainment headlines on this Thursday. Coming up next, get cozy with the Move Morning Chat. Today we want to know, how do you make your perfect cup of coffee? And I got to say, we all have different opinions on this. That conversation's coming up next at 6:40.
Good morning. The time now is 6:43. We're taking a live look at the Armdale roundabout. Roads are looking better starting off the day, but they were quite slick and still remain quite slick in parts of Atlantic Canada. So keep that in mind when you are heading out. Right now, it is -3 degrees in Halifax, -2 in Charlottetown, -3 degrees over in Fredericton, -8 in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and -1 over in Gander. We do still have a snowfall warning remaining for parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island until this afternoon. Could see around 5 to 10 centimeters, the heaviest being over Cape Breton Island at around 15 to 35. And then for Newfoundland, we do have a snowfall warning as well until this evening, getting up to 5 to 25 centimeters of accumulation, a freezing drizzle advisory for today. As well as for Labrador, we're looking at a snowfall warning for this evening until Friday, 20 to 30 centimeters of accumulation with a freezing drizzle advisory as well. Over to our forecast timeline. So still dealing with some flurry activity for parts of Nova Scotia as well as into New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island. Still dealing with snowfall today. Same thing goes for eastern Nova Scotia, Cape Breton Island. That's where the heaviest of this snowfall is situated as of right now. Newfoundland, Labrador also dealing with snowfall, and Newfoundland a bit of mixed precipitation. Still have a risk of freezing drizzle and also seeing some drizzle as well. Into the afternoon, we start to see that increase. You can see in the green indicated here, we're looking at some drizzle, light rainfall, and then we see that pink, that risk of freezing drizzle, and that snowfall still remaining for parts of Atlantic Canada. Then into late this afternoon and then into the evening, we will be seeing sunshine and then starting to see some clearer skies for parts of the Maritime region, still dealing with snow for parts of Cape Breton, eastern Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland and Labrador. That's where that clipper will remain into early Friday morning. If you're wondering about snowfall totals, this is additional to what we already received. Looking at 1 to 5 centimeters of accumulation for parts of northern New Brunswick, 1 to 10 across Prince Edward Island, and for much of Nova Scotia, still looking at around 1 to 10 centimeters of accumulation. Heaviest being into Cape Breton and North Mountain, 15 to 30 centimeters expected. And then for Labrador, 1 to 5 centimeters of accumulation, and additional 1 to 30 centimeters for parts of Newfoundland, St. Anthony being the heaviest. So for forecast today for New Brunswick, starting off the day with snow, transitioning over to flurries. That will clear out into the afternoon, leaving a mix of sun and cloud with daytime highs ranging from -4 to +2. For Prince Edward Island, looking at snow that will transition over to flurries into the evening. Daytime highs between -2 to -1. Wind gusts of 60 kilometers per hour expected. And then for Cape Breton, eastern Nova Scotia, snow transitions over to flurries into the evening. Highs between -1 to +1. And then for the rest of Nova Scotia, looking at flurries throughout the day today and daytime highs between 0 to 1. Wind gusts of 40. For Labrador City, -14 degrees today. Flurries will transition over to snow. 3 degrees for St. John's, Newfoundland, looking at snow, transitioning over to drizzle. And then we have that risk of freezing drizzle remaining. Into Friday's forecast, lots of sunshine for the Maritime region. Going to be a warmer day ahead and then cooling back down. But we do have a bit of flurry activity still remaining for parts of Cape Breton Island. A bit of mixed precipitation remains for Newfoundland. Labrador still dealing with snowfall. Into Friday night, much of the same expected. Starting to see that cloud coverage break down for the Maritime region into Saturday on Valentine's Day. Still a sunny day ahead. Temperatures cool for the most part. Some still remaining above seasonal for our daytime highs. And Newfoundland and Labrador still dealing with some flurry activity and mixed precipitation. That's a look at your weather forecast. We'll throw things over to the Move Morning Chat.
Well, if you are up this early, there's a good chance you have a hot cup of coffee in your hand or it's brewing right now. We are a big fan of coffee on this show and for morning radio. And since it's, National Latte Day, we want to know, how do you love your coffee? Erin, you're pretty particular?
I would say I'm a little particular, and I could talk about this all day. I could tell everyone. I spent many years working as a barista, so I have perfected my coffee, okay? And if you like iced coffee, because that's how I drink mine all year round, may I suggest having a Nespresso machine, because that is what's changed my coffee game. I use my Nespresso machine every morning, and I'm not brewing a regular, cup of coffee. I'm all about the double shot of espresso. But the key is to shake your espresso, okay? So I put my espresso in a mason jar. I brew 2 shots of espresso, add ice on top, close it up, and give it a really good shake. The result is it comes cold very quickly, but it becomes very frothy, kind of like how you can get at some other cafes when you go out to buy your coffee. Top that with a little bit of cold oat milk. It is so much better than going out and spending $10 on a cup of coffee. Try it if you like iced coffee. I swear by it.
Oh, wow. Amanda, you used the word particular when it comes to Erin's coffee. I would use the word snob when it comes to Erin's coffee.
Whatever.
Let me just say that. And she said the one thing that I don't want in my coffee, and that's oat milk or soy milk or almond milk or milk, actually. I want cream. This is the only thing that really sets my coffee aside is cream, 10% blend, and how much. It's just enough to change the color of the coffee from dark brown to something more coffee-like. And I just put a little bit of coffee, and it has to be 10% blend. But coffee snob, yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're the snob.
Yeah.
Hello, do you hear yourself?
You just know what you like, and it sounds like you're both making them at home. So hey, you're saving some money here.
Absolutely. Speaking of saving money, I'm an instant coffee kind of girl. Yeah, I can't afford the fancy drinks anymore. I love myself an iced coffee if I go out and treat myself. Sometimes we make it in the summer. But for me, I love adding honey in my coffee. I'm like Peter, I love a good creamed coffee, but I can't take the calories anymore, man. It's just really heavy. So now I put honey in my coffee, at least the first one of the day, and then whatever goes in it, it's all at the hands of Jesus. Whatever I have my hands on in here is what I put in my coffee, really.
Wow, okay, moving on from the holy water, right? For me, I love a good cup of coffee. I do like just like a little bit of milk. That's my basic, just regular coffee and a little bit of milk. Although I do have to tell you, I've elevated my coffee game. We did get an espresso machine. Not a Nespresso, a proper espresso machine, but I don't have a barista background, Aaron. Neither does my husband. So I have to admit, we kind of took a shortcut where we have one of those automated DeLonghi machines. Suzette Beliveau has one. She told me all about it, and I was instantly hooked. We found the one that we wanted. It was on price, so that was our Christmas gift to each other. Was a really nice espresso machine. Makes a good flat white. Ooh. Well, we want to know, do you agree with us, or is there a different way you drink your coffee or you enjoy it that we didn't mention? Send us a text at 10400. We would love to hear from you. It is National Latte Day. How do you make your perfect cup of coffee? Maybe it's just black, nothing added. We'll share your answers later in the show.
The #1 morning show in Halifax. Turk, Megan, and Amateur Alex. And home to the biggest artists. Halifax's #1 hit music station. 101.3 Virgin Radio.
Welcome back. The time now is 6:54. Crystal and I are escaping the snow, and we'll take you along with us to Hollywood for a look at your entertainment headlines.
After a 2-year-long battle with cancer, James Van Der Beek has passed away. Best known for playing the title role Dawson on TV's Dawson's Creek, and he was in the movie Varsity Blues. Van Der Beek revealed in 2024 he had been diagnosed with colorectal cancer. That same year, he spoke with ABC's Robin Roberts about his diagnosis.
I would say about 10% of the time I was a sobbing, terrified mess. Sure. It's been an exercise in just being present to all of it.
James Van Der Beek was 48 years old. Sandra Bernhard is joining the cast of The White Lotus for season 4, which is set to take place in France. Production of the HBO show is expected to begin in April. 14 recordings are being inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Among them, Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation 1814, Tupac's All Eyes on Me, and Radiohead's OK Computer. And we met him in 1985's The Goonies. Academy Award-nominated actor Josh Brolin is turning 58 today. That's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Alex Stone, ABC News.
Happening now in local news, a winter wallop has resulted in school closures across Nova Scotia today. The cleanup's been underway since yesterday afternoon, but roads are still slick this morning. We'll have a latest look at the impacts and the forecast just ahead. Plus, a major bridge spanning the Miramichi River in northeastern New Brunswick will be closed for repairs for 8 months, starting in April and not ending till December. Those details just ahead. Plus, PEI's new premier plans to shuffle his cabinet later today. Rob Lance was sworn in as premier earlier this week after winning the leadership of the ruling PC party. All those details coming up next in your local news headlines. But first, it is a look at the 3-day forecast with Latavia.
Thanks, Amanda. Starting off in New Brunswick, a high of 1 degree today. We do have isolated flurries that will clear out into the afternoon, leaving a mix of sun and cloud. For Friday's forecast, a high of -2, mainly sunny skies across the province. And on Valentine's Day, sunshine returns, a high of 0, but evening flurries. Nova Scotia looking at a high of 1 today. We do have flurry activity for parts of the province. A bit of snowfall for Cape Breton Island, eastern mainland Nova Scotia continues into the evening for Cape Breton. And then on Friday, -1, sunny skies across the province. Valentine's Day, a high of 1. Sunny skies as scattered flurries return for the southwestern region. Prince Edward Island, a high of -1. Snow transitions over to flurries into the evening. -5 degrees on Friday. Lots of sunshine across the island. On Valentine's Day, sunshine remains with a high of -3. Flurries return into the evening.
It's Thursday, February 12th. Today on Your Morning Atlantic, it is a snow day for students in Nova Scotia as Maritimers dig out after another winter wallop. We'll have your top news headlines and the forecast just ahead.
And safety first. 2 initiatives are coming together to improve safety for Nova Scotians. It's all about a big walk coming up. Those details in about 15 minutes on Your Morning Atlantic.
Good morning, Atlantic, Canada. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Thursday, February 12th. Time now, 7:01. Still seeing a bit of that snowfall for parts of the region, a bit heavier for others. And school cancellations. Snow canceling, I wish. But no.
No, not for the adults. Yeah, we gotta still go to work. Many people do. But if you have a work from home option, perhaps today is the day to take advantage of that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found it quite slippery. The clouds have been out, but it was still a little bit. It wasn't great. Like, I wouldn't go out if you don't have to go out. They're closing schools for a reason, to my mind.
Oh yeah. Traction on the car was not having any traction this morning. I was like, woo! Yeah, so be very mindful of that when you're heading out this morning.
Yeah.
Some extra time out on roads. They did plow overnight, which was great, but then more snow fell, especially when we were leaving the house. So now roads are getting a little bit better as you head out, but still slippery, so keep that in mind. Here's a live look at Yarmouth. As of right now, it is -1 out. We are going to see some isolated flurries in your area throughout the day today. Just something to keep in mind when you are heading out today. Still seeing that snowfall for much of the region. As of right now, it is -3 degrees in Halifax, -2 in Charlottetown, -1 in Sydney, -3 in Fredericton, -18 degrees over in Labrador City, and -1 into St. John's, Newfoundland. Factor in that wind chill as well as those breezy winds. It's going to feel a bit cooler starting off your day. Temperatures will rise yet again into the afternoon for our daytime highs, but there is that risk of frostbite over in Labrador City. Snowfall warning remains for parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island until this afternoon. We have a snowfall warning and a freezing drizzle advisory across parts of Newfoundland. And then for Labrador, looking at a freezing drizzle advisory as well and a snowfall warning. Here's a look at our satellite and radar. We are going to see a flurry activity for parts of the maritime region, some heavier snowfall for Cape Breton Island, eastern Nova Scotia. Newfoundland and Labrador also going to see that heavier snowfall today with mixed precipitation for parts of Newfoundland. Over to the current wind for the maritime region will continue to pick up into the afternoon. As of right now, 39 kilometers per hour into Canso, 35 in Sydney, 31 into Moncton as well as into North Cape. Wind gusts of up to 44 kilometers per hour in Moncton and Edmundston, 41 in Charlottetown, 37 into St. John, New Brunswick. We'll take another look at your forecast just ahead, but first a look at your local news with Amanda.
Thanks, Latavia. And this weather is impacting schools around the region. Classes are canceled for all schools in Nova Scotia. In New Brunswick's Anglophone South School District, all buses in the St. Stephen Education Centre will run on a 1-hour delay. Schools will open on time. And in Prince Edward Island, many schools in central and eastern parts of the province are on a 1-hour delay, with another update scheduled for an hour from now at 8 a.m. And here is a look at the conditions in the Bears Lake area of Halifax this morning as snowplow operators work through the night to try to keep roads clear and stay ahead of this snowfall. Still, many roads are slick and snow covered thanks to this Alberta Clipper as it passes through. Weather also being blamed for a number of collisions overnight, including this one on Millwood Drive in Middle Sackville. We are waiting for official details from RCMP this morning. Also last night, reports of power lines on fire. At least one transit bus was off the road and a fire truck also became stuck. At Halifax Stanfield last night, a Porter Airlines flight from Toronto slid off the runway while taxiing in, prompting the closure of that runway. No one was hurt. Passengers were taken to the terminal with a bus from the aircraft. The runway remains closed until the aircraft has been removed. The airport also warning other flights might be impacted this morning due to the winter weather. They're advising anyone heading to the airport to check their flight status with their airline. Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick will remain closed until Saturday.
I know some people who have gone to Moncton or gone to other places because they're scared. I think the university did the right thing in closing the schools.
The campus was first shut down yesterday due to a concerning message discovered Monday that referenced February 11th. There's now a heavy police presence on campus. Neither the school or the RCMP would reveal what the concerning message was, but police do not think there is any concern for public safety. A statement from Mount A says the safety and well-being of the school community is its highest priority. A 41-year-old Moncton man has been charged with first-degree murder in connection with a case that dates back to 2021. In October of that year, police were called to a home in St. Paul to reports of a sudden death. The woman was identified as 33-year-old Hyde Jokelman. Investigators say new information emerged in the following years, and yesterday, Alex Beers was charged with first-degree murder, unlawful confinement, and failure to provide the necessities of life. He remains in custody with another court date coming up in a couple of weeks. A major bridge spanning the Miramichi River in northeastern New Brunswick will be closed for repairs for 8 months, starting April 1st. The 59-year-old Centennial Bridge needs new decks on its north and south spans, which will require another 8-month closure in 2027. The province's transport minister confirmed yesterday the province had awarded a contract for the next phase of the project, which has been on hold for years. The 1.1 kilometer long bridge is a focal point in Miramichi and is one of the largest structures in New Brunswick. PEI's new premier plans to shuffle his cabinet later today. Rob Lance was sworn in as premier earlier this week after winning the leadership of the ruling PC party. A ceremony to swear in the new members of cabinet is planned for this afternoon at Government House. Finally, Canada has another bronze medal at the Olympics. Figure skaters Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier finish third in ice dancing and will bring home the bronze, making their dreams of finally winning an Olympic medal come true. It's been speculated their podium performance may be their last competitive outing together. We'll have to see. Now, so far, Canada has won 4 medals at the Winter Games. Beautiful.
I love figure skating.
Me too.
Oh my gosh, you're combining like athleticism with artistry.
Oh yeah.
It's really cool.
They make it look like they're gliding.
They make it look so easy.
Right?
Magical.
I watched that. I watched the performances last night. Oh my gosh, I was weeping like a baby. It was so beautiful.
So
knew, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. You knew they were skating their hearts out. You knew that there was a perfect performance and that they were probably going to get a medal, and this is what they've been going for so many years. Oh, so happy they got a medal.
Oh,
they didn't care about the color of the medal. They just were happy to be on that
podium.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Love that.
All right. Well, we've had stories in our news that that Canadian scientists are testing pills made from fecal matter to help combat disease. I guess this is related to Piper and Scott because of it's in Italy. This is also in Italy.
Oh,
it turns out ancient Romans were already onto that years ago. Researchers in Turkey found tiny pieces of human waste in glass bottles dating back to the 2nd century. They said it proves doctors practice medicine with fecal matter, probably using small amounts to treat things like inflammation and infection. Scientists also found residue from olive oil and thyme in this same container, and they're saying that the thyme's antibacterial properties may have cut some of the risks of the treatment. The finding was published in the Journal of Archaeological Science reports. But yes, they have been using fecal matter to treat certain types of cancer.
Wow.
Yeah, in like modern day.
Yes, yes, in I think that research from Ontario.
You've had that in the Lifeline many times, and yeah, but
yes.
They were already onto it in ancient Rome, apparently.
Listen, your stool samples can say a lot.
They can learn a lot about a person, for sure.
Bless the people who check them.
Yeah, for real.
Still ahead, Latavia's got another look on this snowy Thursday forecast. Plus, I'll have your national news headlines as well. The snow not having much of an impact in New Brunswick this morning. You can see there is sidewalks are being cleared just outside of City Hall there this morning. Roads looking pretty good. Forecast is next, 7:09.
Welcome back. The time now is 7:12. We're taking a live look at Brookvale. Snow still continues to fall in your area, currently -3 degrees, and we will be seeing snow remain in our forecast for parts of the region. Weather is brought to you by ALC.ca. We are going to see warmer temperatures starting off your day. As of right now, -3 degrees in Fredericton, -2 in Charlottetown, -3 degrees early this morning in Halifax, -1 in Sydney, as well as into St. John's, Newfoundland. A snowfall warning remains for parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island until this afternoon. Could see around 5 to 10 centimeters of additional snowfall. Heaviest being over in Cape Breton Island, 15 to 35 centimeters expected. expected, as well as a snowfall warning for parts of Newfoundland until this evening, around 5 to 25 centimeters of accumulation, and a freezing drizzle advisory throughout the day. Same thing goes for Labrador, dealing with that snowfall warning this evening until Friday, could see 20 to 30 centimeters of accumulation. Here's a look at our current forecast, still dealing with remnants of this clipper. Newfoundland, Labrador dealing with that snowfall. Going to see a bit of mixed precipitation into the afternoon for Newfoundland. The Maritime region looking at a chance of some flurry activity for parts of the Maritimes, and then seeing that snow across Prince Edward Island, eastern Nova Scotia, and Cape Breton. Then into the afternoon, we will be seeing Cape Breton Island getting a chance of some flurries that will transition back to snowfall into the evening. Still dealing with that mixed precipitation, now seeing periods of drizzle with a risk of freezing drizzle. Then into the evening, much of the same expected. Clouds start to clear out for parts of the Maritimes, but still bringing that snow into early Friday morning. If you're wondering about snowfall totals, looking at around 1 to 5 centimeters of accumulation for parts of northern New Brunswick, 1 to 10 centimeters across Prince Edward Island, around 1 to 10 centimeters for parts of Nova Scotia, heaviest being into North Mountain, 15 to 30 centimeters. And then looking at around 1 to 5 centimeters as well for parts of Labrador, Newfoundland, dealing with 1 to 10 centimeters, the heaviest being into St. Anthony, 15 to 30 centimeters expected. For our forecast today for New Brunswick, now seeing flurries throughout the day. It's around a 30% chance of it happening. Will clear out into the afternoon, leaving a mix of sun and cloud. Wind out of the northwest, 20 gusting to 40, and daytime highs between -4 to +2. Prince Edward Island seeing highs between -2 degrees to -1. Snow throughout your day transitions over to flurries into the evening, wind gusts getting up to 60 kilometers per hour. And then for Cape Breton, eastern Nova Scotia, daytime highs between -1 to +1. Looking at snow, transitioning over to flurries. We'll return back to snow into the evening, wind gusts of 50. For the rest of Nova Scotia, looking at a few flurries throughout the day today, highs between 0 to 1, wind gusts of 40. And then for Labrador City, a high of -14 degrees today, looking at flurries transitioning over to snow. 3 degrees for St. John's, Newfoundland, looking at snow transitioning over to drizzle, as well as a risk of freezing drizzle. Friday's forecast, temperatures start to cool back down, although sunshine returns for much of the Maritime region. We're still going to see a bit of flurry activity for parts of Cape Breton Island. Newfoundland dealing with mixed precipitation. Labrador seeing some light snowfall remain. Into our forecast for Saturday, we are going to see sunshine on Valentine's Day, but temperatures starting to cool back down. Newfoundland, Labrador still dealing with a bit of flurry activity. So that's a look at your weather forecast. We'll throw things over to Amanda.
Thank you, Latavia. Today has been declared a day of mourning by the province of British Columbia following Tuesday's mass shooting in the small northeastern community of Tumbler Ridge that left 9 dead, including the shooter and more than 24 others wounded. Investigators are still searching for a motive in the case, but they have released more details on the suspect. CTV's Kathy Lee has the latest on what police know.
The police tape, the flowers, a closed-off road in front of Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. The marks of tragedy are everywhere in this small northeastern BC community.
My heart is just broken today.
Kyle McKenzie moved to the town of 2400 less than a year ago. Tuesday's school shooting, impossible to comprehend.
My granddaughter and grandson go to this school.
He and everyone here want answers. Today, RCMP revealing more about 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar.
Jesse was born as a biological male. Approximately 6 years ago, began to transition to female.
She dropped out of school 4 years ago and was known to police. Officers have been called to the family home, now also a crime scene, multiple times for mental health concerns, and say Rootselaar was apprehended in the past.
So they bring them to a clinician, there's assessments done, may be held overnight, and the decision's made whether or not they're safe to be released, safe to themselves and safe to community members.
At this point in the investigation, 2 firearms, a long gun and a modified handgun were found.
Determining the origin of these firearms and what role they played in the shootings remains a significant part of the active and ongoing investigation.
With no clear motive or a suspect to question, police are interviewing friends and family, looking for warning signs.
They will look at the mental health calls. They will look at relationships. They will look at diaries, journals, online presence, all of that to try, and the emphasis is on try, to figure out what happened.
As officers continue their work, police are asking people to refrain from speculating about a motive in the shooting, saying that it's still very early in the investigation.
And dozens gathered last night near the school for a vigil to honor the victims. Condolences continue to pour in from across the country and around the world to offer support to those grieving in the community. That is a look at your national news headlines on this Thursday morning. A quick break here on Your Morning Atlantic. When we return, we'll be talking about safety services in Nova Scotia. That's up next.
Move Mornings with Aaron and Peter. Weekday mornings on Move 100. The most fun in the morning. And home of the $1,000 minute. Only on Move 100 Halifax.
Welcome back. It's 7:22. Now, our next guest truly puts safety first. Safety Services Nova Scotia is a nonprofit safety education provider which gives people the skills and confidence they need to be safe on the roads, at work, and in their day-to-day lives. And Threads of Life is a national charity that supports families impacted by workplace tragedy. Now, they're collaborating to promote and improve safety. Here to tell us more is Aubrey Bird with Threads of Life and Leah Vino with Safety Services Nova Scotia. Good morning to you both. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
We're so happy you're here. Quickly, the roads were okay?
Yes.
Roads were good.
Yeah,
Yes.
better than you thought anyway.
Yes.
Well, glad you're here safe. Let's start with you, Leah. What is Safety Services Nova Scotia for people at home who may not know?
Of course. So we're a non-for-profit. Safety Services has been in existence since 1958, so nearly 70 years. And we deliver safety services, training, and programs across the province. That could be motorcycle training courses, driver's education. It can be workplace safety, and then we do a lot of community safety and impact programs as well.
Okay, interesting. We're actually seeing images of different safety initiatives that you work on to keep Nova Scotians safe.
Yes.
Aubrey, tell us more about Threads of Life. What's your mission?
So Threads of Life is a national charity, and we support workers and families in the aftermath of a workplace tragedy. So this can be a fatality, a life-altering workplace injury, or occupational disease. And as you can imagine, the impact of a tragedy like that is huge. And so we support workers and families with peer support programs, information sharing, and also support them to share their stories.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can only imagine that people need some place to turn to for support in a challenging time. Now, Leah, I understand that Safety Services Nova Scotia has an exciting announcement to make this morning.
Yes, we're very excited. So, like I said, a big part of what we do is community impact, and we're trying to make safety a way of life for every Nova Scotian. That's at the heart of who we are. So, working with great organizations like Threads of Life is core to who we are, and of course there's a lot of alignment between the missions, which you just heard. And we're excited to announce that we have a new grant program called Road to Impact that helps organizations like Threads of Life and other charitable organizations to support safety in their communities. So we're excited to announce that Threads of Life is one of the first recipients of a grant. They're receiving $2,500, and we're awarding $25,000 in 2026.
Amazing. Okay, that is great news. And I understand the money will help you pull off this walk that's coming up in a few months that you really need our viewers to know about.
Yeah, absolutely. So Steps for Life is a 5-kilometer family-friendly fundraiser and awareness walk. It's our biggest fundraiser and awareness piece that we do. It happens in May every year, and everyone is welcome. Folks can register at stepsforlife.ca, and the Halifax walk will take place on May 2nd at Point Pleasant Park. And the walk helps, spread awareness, but also a way to honor those who've been impacted by workplace tragedy.
Wonderful. Well, we will include the websites of both of your organizations on our website so people can find out more about safety services and support, but also about the walk, which also these images from past walks gives us hope that we will have weather like this again in May.
Very true.
Very good. All right. Well, I know that people are going to want to connect with you to find out more about both organizations. Thank you both so much for coming in the snowy weather and shining a spotlight on these safety initiatives.
Really appreciate your time and helping us shine that spotlight.
Yeah, and congrats on being a recipient of the latest of this new award. That's great.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we are deeply honored to have such a great partnership with Safety Services Nova Scotia.
All right. Well, safety is top of mind this morning as we turn our attention over to Latavia and the Weather Center.
Thanks, Crystal. Starting off in New Brunswick, a high of 1 degree. Isolated flurries will clear into the afternoon, leaving a mix of sun and cloud. On Friday, -2 degrees. Lots of sunshine returns across the province. Then on Saturday, Valentine's Day, a high of 0. Sunny skies, but flurries return into the evening. For Nova Scotia, 1 degree today. Looking at some scattered flurries transitioning over to snow for Cape Breton Island this evening. On Friday, -1 with sunny skies. Then on Valentine's Day, a high of 1. Sunny skies with scattered flurries returning for the southwestern region. Prince Edward Island, a high of -1 today. Snow transitioned over to flurries into the evening. Friday, looking at a high of -5 with mainly sunny skies. Then on Saturday, -3 degrees, sunny skies, evening flurry.
Just ahead this half hour, supporting new families. A registered dietitian joins us with advice on navigating bottle feeding with a new baby. Good for parents, grandparents, and guardians. That conversation coming up in 15 minutes here on Your Morning Atlantic.
Welcome back. 7:30, halfway through the show already on this Thursday. Looking forward to this half hour. Chatting about the latest in infant nutrition. A lot has changed since I had my babies. I do remember that hungry, look and of the babies eating and then their little eyes closing because they're getting full.
Oh, the days when they were young and easy.
Yeah, exactly.
They couldn't run around. Isn't that funny too to think of newborns being like back when it was easy?
Oh.
But it's true. There's so much information out there. A lot of misinformation, and then also the advice changes, which can be difficult. Like if you're a new parent and you have a baby and you've been told one thing maybe from the hospital, and then you have maybe a grandparent or someone in your life saying, no, you shouldn't do it this way. What's
well,
the
this
information?
Is
what
the
do you
thing.
do?
And we're going to speak to an infant nutrition specialist to get the latest. But I can remember, you don't know anything when you're a new parent. I can remember like literally highlighting this little book they gave me from the hospital. Crumbs of food falling on the baby as I'm like, studying harder than I did in university. But
they still give that book today. And I love the support in especially this province. They give you so much support afterwards to help you when you go home. You're like, what do I do? How do I do this? Yeah. But toddler feeding, not for the faint of heart.
Oh, no, because then the toddlers have a say in the matter.
Apparently. Who taught them? Like, who taught them that?
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. Gosh.
Well, I'm doing that when it comes to the weather. I'm like, nope, don't want it, don't want to see it, whatever the case may be. But we do have a bit of active weather still lurking across parts of the region. Here's a live look at Liverpool, though. It seems to have stopped over there as of right now. We're still dealing with a chance of some flurry activity for parts of the maritime region, a bit of heavier snow for others. As of right now, it is -3 degrees heading outdoors in Halifax, -1 in Sydney, -2 degrees in Charlottetown, -3 in Fredericton, and -1 into St. John's, Newfoundland. Factoring in that wind chill, still going to feel cooler for parts of the region, as well as a risk of frostbite remains in Labrador City. A snowfall warning also in effect for parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island until this afternoon. We do have a snowfall warning in effect until this evening for Newfoundland and a freezing drizzle advisory. Same thing goes for Labrador, looking at that snowfall warning for this evening until Friday. Here's a look at our satellite and radar. As I had mentioned, parts of the maritime region dealing with a chance of some flurry activity that will clear into the afternoon. Prince Edward Island, Cape Breton, still dealing with that heavier snowfall. Newfoundland and Labrador, same thing. But we do have mixed precipitation as well for parts of Newfoundland. In terms of the wind, as of right now, 44 kilometers per hour in Canso, 37 in Sydney, 39 in Grand Otang, 35 into North Cape. Wind gusts of up to 50 kilometers per hour right now in Sydney, 48 in Grand Otang, 46 in Charlottetown. We'll take another look at your long-range forecast just ahead, but first a look at your local news with Amanda.
Thanks, Latavia. And we begin with the impacts this weather is happening around here. Let's start with schools. Class is canceled for all schools in Nova Scotia. In New Brunswick's Anglophone South School District, all buses in the St. Stephen Education Centre are running on a 1-hour delay. Schools will open on time. And in PEI, many schools in central and eastern parts of the province are on a 1-hour delay. And another update is scheduled for 8 a.m. Here's a look at cleanup and conditions in the Bears Lake area of Halifax this morning. Snowplow operators have been working throughout the night, trying to keep roads clear and stay ahead of the snowfall. Still, roads are slick and snow-covered in many areas, thanks to this Alberta Clipper. In HRM, buses will be on planned snow routes this morning, and over in Cape Breton, in the CBRM, transit buses have been pulled off the roads today with an assessment happening at 10 a.m. These conditions continuing since overnight, also being blamed for a number of collisions, including this one last evening on Millwood Drive in Middle Sackville. We have reached out to our CMP for more details. There were also reports overnight of power lines on fire, at least one transit bus off the road, and a fire truck that was stuck. And at Halifax Stanfield last night, a Porter Airlines flight from Toronto slid off the runway while taxiing in, prompting the closure of that runway. No one was hurt. Airport buses transported passengers from the aircraft to the terminal building. The runway remains closed this morning because they are waiting to remove the aircraft. Halifax Stanfield tells CTV News there were no diversions due to the runway closure. As for the weather, there are some ongoing delays and cancellations. Travelers are encouraged to check their flight status with their airline before heading to the airport. Unrelated to the weather, Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick will remain closed until Saturday.
I know some people who have gone to Moncton or gone to other places because they're scared. I think the university did the right thing in closing the schools.
The campus was first shut down yesterday due to a concerning message discovered Monday that referenced February 11th. There's now a heavy police presence on campus. Neither the school or the RCMP would reveal what the concerning message was, but police do not think there's any concern for public safety. A statement from Mount A says the safety and well-being of the school community is its highest priority. A major bridge spanning the Miramichi River in northeastern New Brunswick will be closed for repairs for 8 months starting April 1st. The 59-year-old Centennial Bridge needs new decks on its north and south approach spans, which will require another 18-month closure in 2027. The province's transport minister confirmed yesterday the province had awarded a contract for the next phase of the project, which has been on hold for years. The 1.1-kilometer-long bridge is a focal point in the city of Miramichi and is one of the largest structures in the province. PEI's new premier plans to shuffle his cabinet later today. Rob Lance was sworn in as premier earlier this week after winning the leadership of the ruling PC party over the weekend. A ceremony to swear in the new members of cabinet is planned for this afternoon at Government House. Finally, one of the most beloved albums of the 1990s is being brought back to life by a Cape Breton performer. And as CTV's Ryan McDonald shows us, Robbie Sims will pay tribute to Nirvana Unplugged.
Come as you are, as you were, as I want you to be.
He's not Kurt Cobain, but for one night at the Highland Arts Theatre in Sydney, he just might be close enough.
I will be the next best thing. I will certainly do my best to be the next best thing.
Nirvana's MTV Unplugged in New York, which first aired on December 18th, 1993, remains one of the most iconic concert performances of the 1990s. More than 30 years later, Robbie Sims, who was 15 when Unplugged first came out in stores, still remembers the impact it made on him.
On its release date, I begged my mother after school that day, hey, I know we don't have a lot of money, but do you think just maybe we could go to Zeller's and get a copy?
My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night?
Now, Sims will perform his own tribute show called Where Did You Sleep Last Night? It'll be note for note and unplugged, of course, here on this stage on April the 18th.
And so to get to go a little bit of a trip down memory lane, maybe people that didn't get a chance to see Nirvana live, they can see this.
We all grew up together and we all cut our teeth on Nirvana and we all cut our teeth on Unplugged.
Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
Thanks, Ryan. What a voice. And doesn't that sound just take you back to the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
Talk about nostalgia.
Oh, my gosh. I lived in flannel shirts. My little Doc Martens, oh my gosh, back in the day. I'll find a photo.
It's just funny because all that is back in style. I'm like, yeah, you were
It is
fashionista.
true. Grunge era realness.
Yep.
Okay.
90s grunge.
Guess what? This is my favorite story of the day, and I get to share it now.
Yes.
Here we go. As people around the world prepare for the upcoming Lunar New Year celebrations, it's Pandemonium in China.
Yay!
Oh, yeah. 29 panda cubs from China's southwestern Sichuan province made their television debuts this week, held by the zookeepers. They're in front of the Lunar New Year backdrops. Okay, but get this. They shout festive greetings on their behalf. The cubs are placed on start lines, symbolizing the new beginnings. Before they scurry away into the bushes, they get this is a whole thing. Finally, they're placed in a giant rice dumpling bowl. So this is with the babies, you know, tumbling around. The rice dumplings are a traditional delicacy during New Year, symbolizing family reunion. So they're in the rice dumpling bowl. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, this is
this is where they were put on the start lines and they just run off.
Truly pandemonium.
Hilarious. This is like the lady who's trying to hold the pandas is like holding my twins nowadays.
Exactly.
Yeah. So cute.
Oh my gosh. What could go wrong? 29 baby panda cubs.
Oh, nothing could go wrong.
I need the full footage of this.
We do. We do. We really do. Anyway, gosh, I love that.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that was just a feast for the eyes.
Indeed.
Day is made. Well, a lot of people, their day doesn't get started unless they have a cup of coffee. Today is National Latte Day. So, our Mood Morning Chat question. How do you make your perfect cup of coffee? Send us a text at 10400. We'll share your text messages a little bit later of the show. Coffee, something you don't want to give to a baby.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
Coming up after Latavia's forecast, we'll have the latest in infant nutrition. We'll sit down with a registered dietitian about how you can support families as they navigate feeding a new little one. Stay with us. That conversation's coming up next. It's 7:41.
Yeah.
Good morning, Atlantic Canada, and welcome back. The time now is 7:44. We're taking a live look at Halifax, -3 degrees, starting off your day. We're going to see a chance of some isolated flurries remain today. So for our current temperatures, it's not too bad starting off the day, much warmer than even yesterday, but when you factor in that wind chill and those breezy winds, still going to feel a bit cooler for parts of Atlantic Canada. As of right now, it is -3 degrees in Fredericton, -2 over in Charlottetown, -1 in Sydney, -8 degrees over in Happy Valley Goose Bay, -1 in Corner Brook. A snowfall warning remains for parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island until this afternoon. Could see around 5 to 10 centimeters of accumulation, heaviest being over Cape Breton Island at around 15 to 35 centimeters. A snowfall warning also in effect for parts of Newfoundland until this evening. Freezing drizzle advisory as well today. And for Labrador, looking at a freezing drizzle advisory for parts of the province and a snowfall warning this evening until Friday. Could see snowfall ranging from 20 to 30 centimeters. So here's a look at our current forecast timeline. Still dealing with snow across Prince Edward Island, parts of Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland and Labrador. Into the afternoon, going to see some mixed precipitation for parts of Newfoundland. For the Maritime region, starting to see that flurry activity clear out of New Brunswick, leaving sunshine also into the southwestern region of Nova Scotia. But still going to see some of this snowfall persist into early Friday morning. And then we'll start to see it clear right out for the most part. If you're wondering about snowfall totals, looking at around 1 to 5 centimeters of accumulation for parts of northern New Brunswick, 1 to 10 across Prince Edward Island, heaviest being for Nova Scotia, 15 to 30 centimeters for North Mountain. And then for Labrador, looking at around 1 to 5 centimeters of accumulation, heaviest being for Newfoundland at around 15 to 30 centimeters into St. Anthony. Here's a look at our forecast today for New Brunswick, looking at a chance of flurries clearing out into the afternoon, leaving a mix of sun and cloud. Daytime highs between -4 to +2. We're looking at wind gusts getting up to 40 kilometers per hour. Prince Edward Island looking at snow that will transition over to flurries into the evening, wind gusts of 60, highs between -2 to -1. Cape Breton, eastern mainland Nova Scotia, we're going to see some snowfall transitioning over to flurries, returning to snowfall into the evening, highs between -1 to +1. For the rest of Nova Scotia, daytime highs between 0 to 1, looking at flurries expected throughout your day today, and wind gusts of 40. For Labrador City, a high of -14 degrees today, a chance of flurries transitions over to steady snow. And then for New St. John's, Newfoundland, a high of 3 degrees, snow transitions over to periods of drizzle with a risk of freezing drizzle as well. So for Friday's forecast, temperatures cooling back down. Lots of sunshine, though, for much of the maritime region. Still holding on to a bit of flurry activity for parts of Cape Breton Island. Newfoundland also seeing that mixed precipitation still remain for parts of the province and snowfall across much of Labrador. Into Saturday's forecast on Valentine's Day, temperatures warm up just a bit. Lots of sunshine for the maritime region. Newfoundland, Labrador still dealing with some flurry activity, Crystal.
All right, thanks, Latavia. At 7:47. Now, the world of infant nutrition can sometimes be difficult to navigate for new and expecting parents and caregivers, but grandparents and other family members can be a great support to offer a break. But it's best to know the latest when it comes to infant nutrition. So here to tell us more is registered dietitian and lactation consultant Brittany Brown to help us understand a little bit more about infant nutrition. First of all, good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me today. It's great to be here.
It is great to have you here because so many people, if they've got a new baby in their life, they're going to want to know more about infant nutrition. What is it that you do?
Yeah, oh, great question. So I feel like I'm a jack of all trades in some ways. So I'm a registered dietitian and I'm working with families for all stages of life for managing their nutritional needs. But then I also have another designation as a lactation consultant, and that really allows me to hone in on that infant area.
Yeah.
So working with families as maybe they're navigating breastfeeding or maybe bottle feeding or a little bit of a combination of both.
Well, we could certainly, I mean, we could do a whole like 3-day series if we wanted to get into all of that. But today we're focusing on how to support people, grandparents, for example, and other family members who want to be helpful, how they can help out. So let's begin with if there's a new baby in the life, and they're breastfeeding, how can a grandparent or other family member support that?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So I think it's really important that grandparents are starting to ask questions of their own children of what maybe they want to do for feeding their baby. So a lot might have changed since grandparents had babies, right? It could be that they relied more specifically on bottle feeding, whereas now I'm noticing trends of more families looking to breastfeeding and combination feeding, maybe some bottle feeding in the mix. So just having those really clear discussions and conversations about what the family is looking towards is really important. And then, of course, having opportunities to support in between. So maybe you're taking some of the load off by making snacks, or you're preparing some freezer meals or things like that.
That is true. Those little things do come in so handy, especially when you're not having a great day. Just knowing there's something in the freezer you can thaw out and eat, it's a lifesaver. Okay, we're showing images of bottle feeding. Let's just say that the baby is taking a bottle, either they're taking formula or breast milk in a bottle. What do people need to know about bottle feeding?
Well, I think it's important that we all are aware that bottle feeding should mimic breastfeeding as much as possible. And that's not just because maybe the family wants to breastfeed, it's also because it helps us to keep our hunger and fullness cues in check. And we know that's a really important part of being human, is that we're not overeating and that we're just responding to our body's natural cues. So keeping breastfeeding is similar to bottle feeding is similar to breastfeeding would be what I would recommend. And I've brought my friend Jasmine here. So this is Jasmine's first TV debut, and she's pretty excited about it. So if we're breastfeeding a baby, we might be holding them like this. When we're bottle feeding a baby, I like to encourage families to also hold them kind of on their side.
Okay.
And I brought a couple bottles here with me. Maybe looking at having the bottle on its side as well. And
interesting.
Yeah, this is probably pretty different than what we're seeing in a lot of television shows. This allows baby to just be more in control of pulling the milk, not having to maybe chug like we might have seen in some sitcoms or things like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty significant difference that I really encourage families to do. We call this paced bottle feeding.
Paced bottle feeding? I love that. And the gravity will still work for it.
Yeah, so babies are going to have to utilize their oral motor skills to pull the milk right from the back of the bottle, just the same as they would for breastfeeding.
If that's the only takeaway we get from today, that's huge. That's a huge difference. Okay, we only have about 20 seconds left. Is there anything else you need people to know?
Yeah, I want them to know it's not really a problem if there's some air in the bottle. We are going to expel that through our nose as we're breathing. So old school, we would do this. Now it's okay to just have half of the bottle nipple filled. That's going to be the most important thing to take away.
Oh my gosh, Brittany, we've learned so much already. I can only imagine one-on-one session what we can learn. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Jasmine did great. We're going to have her back. Okay, we put all of Brittany's information on our website so you can find out more. Now we're going to turn our attention over to Amanda.
Yeah, no babies crying this morning. All right. Now to a story about heavy lifting, which is what many Maritimers are doing this morning as they dig out from this latest storm. However, while that shoveling may clear a path, it could also put you at risk. During this Heart Health Month, CTV's Vanessa Wright gets to the heart of the matter. Those details in Your Health.
I often give him a hand with his driveway, and mine across the street, he gives me a hand with mine.
It's just one tip health professionals suggest to avoid serious injury to the body and the heart.
As we know, there's a rise in cardiovascular disease in the province, and when we embark on a strenuous activity like this that we don't always do, we run the risk of putting too much of a demand on our heart that can lead to cardiovascular impacts and incidents.
This month, the Heart and Stroke Foundation is educating Canadians about risk factors. That includes adequate exercise, sleep, diet, and controlling medical conditions like hypertension and high cholesterol.
We know that only 16.7% of Nova Scotians have at least 5 fruit and vegetables a day, which is the recommendation that we would have for a healthy diet. We also know that 29.4% of Nova Scotians are living with hypertension. And so that is a medical risk factor for our conditions as well.
And of course, not to ignore any symptoms. It's easy to think, oh, a little bit of shortness of breath, that could be normal. Oh, a little bit of chest pain. Oh, maybe that could be normal. Sometimes heart attacks can fool you and present in funny ways.
And most importantly, know your limits. A tip these neighbors aged 66 and 84 put into action. Vanessa Wright, CTV News.
We have no milestones to pass along for you today, but if you'd like to see previously aired milestones or find out how to submit one, visit our website by scanning the QR code on your screen. And a reminder, milestones must be received 2 weeks in advance. All right, when it comes to flying, most of us either love it or hate it based on our past experience.
But one grandmother south of the border has never flown in a plane. But that all changed this week. ABC's Rena Roy has this uplifting story.
88-year-old Frances Dahlke has lived a full life, but until now, she'd never flown on a plane. She was patiently waiting for a specific pilot.
I'll fly when Alex gets his pilot license.
That's her grandson, Alex. Frances promised years ago that her first time in the sky would be with him at the controls. Now, after lots of hard work and training, Alex has delivered. This past weekend, the proud grandmother headed down the jet bridge at Wisconsin's La Crosse Regional Airport for a family reunion at 30,000 feet. Aside from seeing her grandson in action, Frances had a few other things on her flight checklist.
The sensation, and of course watching the clouds out if there's any out there.
Her family making sure she packed the essentials for a first-time flyer.
They made sure they told me to take Dramamine first. I've never taken Dramamine in my life either.
Good morning, folks. You're welcome aboard once again on Flight 4057.
Frances settled in for the 90-minute ride, getting the true VIP treatment.
Very, very nice. I felt like a spoiled celebrity. I had the first seat in first class.
The plane touching down in Chicago, safe and sound. They say it's a special memory that they'll hold on to forever. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Beautiful story. All right, taking another look at our 3-day forecast for New Brunswick. A high of 1 degree today, isolated flurries clearing into the afternoon, leaving sunshine. On Friday, temperature drops to -2, mainly sunny skies. And on Valentine's Day, looking at a high of 0, sunshine across the province with evening flurries. For Nova Scotia today, looking at a chance of flurries, transitioning over to snow into the evening for Cape Breton Island, a high of 1. -1 on Friday with sunshine returning. And then on Saturday, a high of 1 degree, looking at sunshine with scattered flurries for the southern region. Prince Edward Island looking at a high of -1. Snow transitions over to flurries into the evening. On Friday, -5, mainly sunny skies. Valentine's Day, a high of -3, sunny skies with evening flurries. Time now, 7:55.
The #1 morning show in Halifax. Turk, Megan, and Amateur Alex. And home to the biggest artists. Halifax's #1 hit music station. 101.3 Virgin Radio.
It's Thursday, February 12th today on your Morning Atlantic. Winter wallop, another dumping of fresh snow resulting in school cancellations, slippery road conditions, and another day of digging out. Your top news headlines in the forecast just ahead.
And And Cuba concerns. We'll speak with Dalhousie University's Robert Hewish about the latest on the crisis in Cuba and what it means for Canadians. That's just ahead on the Thursday edition of Your Morning Atlantic.
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on what is a snow day for many parts of the region. Not so much in New Brunswick and western parts of PEI this morning, but still, this is becoming a winter season to remember. Sometimes we have these mild winters, not so much now.
No, for sure. It is interesting that where the snow's falling, we're getting a lot of it. That's why the school cancellations. I know you're going to get into all that in news, but what are we dealing with? Like, temperatures on the warmer side, I noticed +1.
Oh yeah, it's pretty warm for parts of the region. Above seasonal daytime highs yet again.
Okay.
Temperatures will cool back down.
Okay.
That's what we're expecting, especially into the weekend. But honestly, it's just becoming seasonal or just below seasonal. So still not too bad.
Okay.
It's not too cold, but you know.
Oh, you were just here, Amanda.
I was. Catch of the Bay. That was our meeting point, actually. Met right there. One of my girlfriends from Shediac drove down. Her husband drove her down. And me and my girlfriend from Halifax, we drove there. And then together from Masstown, we all drove to Cape Breton for a little weekend of skiing. And I have to say, the Masstown Market, great for its food. The souvenirs there are so good right now. Some great Valentine's gifts there.
Oh,
Fun
I couldn't
stuff.
imagine. Love a good souvenir. All right, taking a look at our current temperatures, -3 degrees starting off your day in Halifax, -1 in Sydney, -2 degrees in Charlottetown, -3 in Fredericton, -18 over in Labrador City, -1 into St. John's, Newfoundland. Still seeing the wind chill factor in early this morning, making it feel a bit cooler starting off your day. So make sure to layer up before heading outdoors. We still have that risk of frostbite over in Labrador City. A snowfall warning currently in effect for parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island until this afternoon, as well as a snowfall warning for parts of Newfoundland until this evening. Freezing drizzle advisory also, especially into parts of Labrador as well, and a snowfall warning this evening until Friday. So we're still dealing with this clipper for parts of the region. Parts of the Maritime region only seeing a chance of some flurry activity, and that will clear out into the afternoon, but also seeing some snowfall for Prince Edward Island, parts of Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland, Labrador dealing with snowfall as well, with a bit of mixed precipitation for parts of Newfoundland. In terms of the wind, it will be a breezy day ahead. As of right now, 44 kilometers per hour into Canso, 39 in Grand Etang, with 37 in Sydney, 28 in Lunenburg. Wind gusts of up to 50 kilometers per hour right now in Sydney, 48 into Grand Etang, 46 in Charlottetown and North Cape. We'll take another look at your long-range forecast just ahead. First, a look at your local news with Amanda.
And we are beginning with impacts this weather is having around the region. All classes are canceled for all schools in Nova Scotia. In New Brunswick, the Anglophone South School District, all buses in the St. Stephen Education Centre, they're running on a 1-hour delay, but schools are scheduled to open on time. And in PEI, many schools in central and eastern parts of the province are on a 1-hour delay, with another update scheduled to come out this time, any moment now. And this is a look at conditions in the Bears Lake area of Halifax before sunrise. Snowplow operators worked throughout the night trying to keep roads clear and stay ahead of the snowfall. Still, roads are very slick and snow-covered in many areas this morning thanks to this Alberta clipper. In the HRM, buses are on snow routes this morning, and in Cape Breton, in the CBRM, transit buses have been pulled off the roads, and an assessment will happen again at 10 a.m. This is a look at conditions overnight in Middle Sackville, Nova Scotia. Snowy conditions being blamed for a number of collisions, including this one on Millwood Drive in Middle Sackville. CTV News has reached out to RCMP for more details. Also last night, reports of power lines on fire and at least one transit bus off the road, and reports of a fire truck that was stuck. Also last night at Halifax Stanfield, a Porter Airlines flight from Toronto slid off the runway while taxiing, prompting the closure of that runway. No one was hurt. Airport buses transported passengers from the aircraft to the terminal building. The runway remains closed this morning. That's until the aircraft has been removed. Halifax Stanfield says there were no diversions due to the runway closure. Now, as for the weather, there are some ongoing delays and cancellations. Travelers are encouraged to check their flight status with their airline before heading to the airport. This is not related to weather. Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick will remain closed until Saturday.
I know some people who have like gone to Moncton or gone to other places because they're scared. I think the university did the right thing in closing the schools.
The campus was first shut down yesterday due to a concerning message discovered Monday that referenced February 11th, 2026. There's now a heavy police presence on campus. Neither the school or the RCMP would reveal what the concerning message was, but police do not think there is any concern for public safety. A statement from Mount A says the safety and well-being of the school community is its highest priority. A 41-year-old Moncton man has been charged with first-degree murder in connection with a case that dates back to 2021. In October of that year, police were called to a home in St. Paul to reports of a sudden death. The woman was identified as 33-year-old Heidi Jogelman. Investigators say new information emerged in the following years, and yesterday Alex Spears was charged with first-degree murder, unlawful confinement, and failure to provide the necessities of life. He remains in custody with another court date coming up in a couple of weeks. A major bridge spanning the Miramichi River in northeastern New Brunswick will be closed for repairs for 8 months beginning April 1st. The 59-year-old Centennial Bridge needs new decks on its north and south spans, which will require another 8-month closure in 2027. The province's transport minister confirmed yesterday the province had awarded a contract for the next phase of the project, which has been on hold for years. The 1.1-kilometer-long bridge is a focal point in Miramichi and is one of the largest structures in the province. PEI's new premier plans to shuffle his cabinet later today. Rob Lance was sworn in as premier earlier this week after winning the leadership of the ruling PC party over the weekend. A ceremony to swear in the new members of cabinet is planned for this afternoon at Government House. Finally, this duo will make you feel like you're stepping right back into the 90s.
You have unleashed the creature that we have feared for more than 3,000 years. Is the bringer of death. He will never.
Universal Pictures shared a photo on social media, and they captioned it with "Mummy and Daddy are so back." The photos are of Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz from the 1999 film. Now we know the Mummy 4 is going to get a 2028 release. The fourth installment hits theaters May 19th. Oh, we watched this film so many times when I was a kid growing up. My mom was visiting and my parents were visiting in January, so my mom and I watched it again. Still amazing. Still love it. I didn't remember how scary the Mummy was at first. For me, it was fine. But my 8-year-old happened to come down and watch the movie or bits of it, and he didn't sleep very well for a couple of weeks. Poor little guy. So I'm not going to take him to see the Mummy 4, but I will take my mummy. Yeah.
Honestly, a classic. Brendan Fraser.
Peak.
Oh, George of the Jungle.
I know. He was almost too handsome for those roles.
I was so little watching these movies, and I remember I was like. Oh my I even have the stuffy from that movie. That's how obsessed I was with him. I was like, hey.
There were many handsome, talented actors in that film.
Yeah. Okay, well, I love that all. Let's keep the ancient talk going. Let's take a little free trip to Italy, shall we? A palace in the heart of Rome is just steps away from the city's busiest sites, but it's not that busy. Check this out the next time you're there. It's known as the Palazzo Altan. It was once a mansion belonging to a wealthy Roman family. So it's now a museum of Roman antiquities, and tourists can explore the large rooms away from crowds that occupy every other major site in Rome. So I went and checked this out. I thought I need to go to this because it's right up my alley. You can visit this museum for as little as €2 admission.
What?
Wow.
So let's go.
That's so cool.
I would love to go. That is gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, the antiquities in the rooms are gorgeous, but just the actual building itself, looking at the ceilings and the paintings,
architecture.
the architecture.
Wow.
Yes.
Take a historian like Evie with you.
Totally.
Exactly.
Grab a gelato, make it a day.
Maybe have a latte, cappuccino.
There you go.
That's our Move Morning Chat, 10400. Send us a text, the favorite way you like your coffee. Quick break here. Coming up, Latavia is going to have our latest look at the Thursday forecast. Ooh, very, very snowy at Burnt Coat Head, not too far from Truro, Nova Scotia. We'll have more details on the daytime highs and when this Alberta Clipper is fully out of here up next.
Welcome back. The time now is 8:12. We're taking a live look at Barrington, starting off at -1 this morning. Still going to be seeing a chance of some scattered flurries throughout the day. Weather is brought to you by ALC.ca. It is a warmer start to the day, but still cool for parts of the region. As of right now, a -3 degrees in Halifax, -1 in Sydney, -2 degrees in Charlottetown, -4 in Fredericton, -7 degrees over in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and -1 in Corner Brook. A snowfall warning remains for parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island until this afternoon, seeing around 5 to 10 centimeters of accumulation, heaviest being into Cape Breton Island at around 15 to 35. A snowfall warning also in effect for parts of Newfoundland until this evening, and a freezing drizzle advisory in effect. For Labrador, freezing drizzle advisory also in effect for today, and a snowfall warning this evening until Friday. Could see snowfall ranging from 20 to 30 centimeters. Here's a look at our forecast timeline. We are going to see a chance of some flurry activity remain for parts of New Brunswick and parts of Nova Scotia, but for Prince Edward Island and parts of Nova Scotia as well, eastern Nova Scotia, Cape Breton Island, going to be seeing some snowfall over there. And then for Newfoundland and Labrador, also dealing with that snowfall from this clipper and mixed precipitation expected into parts of Newfoundland this afternoon. Into the evening, much of the same expected. We are going to see some lingering flurry activity, some snowfall for Cape Breton Island, taking us into early Friday morning. Much of the same expected before it clears out. If you're wondering about snowfall totals, this is additional to what we've already received. We're looking at, well, it's not populating right now, but it was 1 to 5 centimeters for Bathurst, 1 to 10 centimeters across Prince Edward Island, and looking at around 1 to 10 centimeters for parts of Nova Scotia, heaviest being into North Mountain at 15 to 30 centimeters. And then Newfoundland and Labrador going to see snowfall totals as well. We're looking around 1 to 5 centimeters of accumulation for parts of Labrador, heaviest being into St. Anthony, 15 to 30 centimeters expected. Over to our forecast today for New Brunswick, looking at flurries clearing out into the afternoon, leaving a mix of sun and cloud. Daytime highs between -4 to +2 and wind gusts of 40. Prince Edward Island still seeing snowfall throughout the day, transitioning over to a chance of flurries into the evening. Highs between -2 to -1 and wind gusts of 60. For Cape Breton, eastern mainland Nova Scotia, looking at snow, transitioning over to flurries into the evening, transitioning back over to snow. Daytime highs will range from -2 to 2 degrees. And then for the rest of Nova Scotia, looking at a chance of flurries throughout the day and a high of 1 degree. Labrador City looking at flurries throughout the day, then transitioning over to snow, a high of -14 degrees. 3 degrees for St. John's, Newfoundland, looking at snow, transitioning over periods of drizzle with a risk of freezing drizzle. Into Friday's forecast, lots of sunshine. Temperatures dip back down, though, for the Maritime region. Newfoundland and Labrador still dealing with a bit of mixed precipitation and some light snowfall. Into Saturday's forecast, we are going to see sunshine yet again for the Maritime region. Temperatures will warm up just a bit, but becoming seasonal and still dealing with some lingering flurries and mixed precipitation for Newfoundland. That's a look at weather forecast. We'll throw things over to Amanda.
Thank you, Latavia. Today has been declared a day of mourning by the province of British Columbia. A mass shooting Tuesday in the small northeastern community of Tumbler Ridge left 9 dead, including the shooter, and more than 24 others wounded. CTV's Andrew Johnson is in the community of Tumbler Ridge and spoke to the parents of one of the victims.
This is devastating not only to our family, but to so many other families.
A heartbroken couple clutch a photo of their daughter, Kylie Smith, who didn't live to see her 13th birthday.
She was just a beautiful soul. She's a light in our family. She loved art and anime. She wanted to go to school in Toronto, and we just loved her so much.
Kylie, a grade 7 student, was shot and killed at school in the violence that began early Tuesday afternoon. The community first got wind of it when an alert was sent out, warning an active shooter may be in the area. Students at Tumbler Ridge Secondary were put in lockdown.
It was about 30 minutes into the class and the lockdown alarm went off. It's very different from every single other alarm. And Miss Steele was going down the halls telling us all to close the doors, so we closed the doors, locked them.
When RCMP arrived at the school, they encountered devastation. 6 victims were found dead, a 39-year-old female educator, 3 female 12-year-old students, including Kylie Smith, and 2 male students ages 12 and 13. 27 others were injured, including 2 who were airlifted to hospital. One of them is Maya Edmonds, whose family says she was shot in the head and is in critical condition. Police say the suspect, 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar, was found at the school dead of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Van Rootselaar lived in town, and police say identified as a woman but was born biologically male. RCMP confirmed the suspect's 39-year-old mother, Jennifer Strang, and 11-year-old stepbrother Emmett were shot first at the family home before Van Rootselaar moved on to the school. A total of 9 people are dead, most children, an immeasurable loss for Tumbler Ridge and grieving families struggling in the earliest hours of a lifetime of grief.
We live here because these things don't happen.
Hold your kids tight. Tell them you love them every day. You never know. You never know.
They live here because these things don't happen. Now that it somehow has, we are seeing the people of Tumbler Ridge try to hold each other up and use their collective strength to cope as the community now turns to the unthinkable task of planning funerals and celebrations of life for victims as young as 11.
CTV's Andrew Johnson reporting, and dozens gathered last night near the school for a vigil to honor the victims. Condolences continue to pour in from across the country and around the world to offer support to those grieving in the community. That is a look at your national news headlines on this Thursday morning. A quick break here on Your Morning Atlantic. When we return, a conversation with Dalhousie's Robert Hewish about the fuel crisis in Cuba. That's coming up next.
Move Mornings with Aaron and Peter. Weekday mornings on Move 100. The most fun in the morning. And home of the $1,000 minute. Only on Move 100 Halifax.
Welcome back. It's 8:22. Now, this is a frustrating and concerning time for Atlantic Canadians who are hoping to travel to Cuba. Airlines are canceling routes to the island as the government warns airports are nearly out of jet fuel. The U.S. has blocked fuel from being exported from Venezuela, which is pushing the small island nation towards the brink of collapse. Just imagine what it would be like to live in these conditions. Here to try to make sense of it all is Robert Hewish, Associate Professor of International Development Studies at Dalhousie University. Good morning, Robert. How are you this morning?
Great, Crystal, thanks. Looking forward to doing some snowblowing.
Well, yes, indeed. Oh, gosh. I know that you have an article coming out in the conversation later today on this very issue. Just how dire is the situation in Cuba right now?
Well, just as you painted, if you're a traveler having hoped to go to Cuba, you're in more for an adventure rather than a vacation. And for many political watchers of Cuba, if the belief is that somehow Donald Trump's oil embargo will somehow shatter the government there, it's probably going to be a very drawn-out process for the next year. And if you are Cuban, brace for a nightmare. This is going to be a really difficult time for Cuba, possibly one of the worst situations in the entire 67-year history of the Cuban Revolution. To put it all on the table, Cuba's economy has been in complete freefall since the end of 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic in full swing, and they just haven't been able to recover. So what we're seeing in Cuba is a mix of internal issues that have gone on at the hands of the government there, but also extensive international pressure by the Trump government on Cuba. And this is different from the other sort of Donald Trump bullying that we've seen around the world, because where most of his bellicosity has come from executive orders, the United States has a 60-year history of using economic weapons against Cuba. So what we're seeing today, the stranglehold on fuel, the lack of imports of food, the lack of imports of medicine, that has been ingrained in congressional acts that have passed through Washington since the 1960s, in particular acts that target foreign countries from dealing with Cuba directly. So unlike a presidential threat, this has actually got congressional backing in the U.S., and now we're seeing the full flex come into effect.
What's the end game here? Why is the United States picking on Cuba?
Well, there's two goals to it. One is very strategic, and this is where Marco Rubio thinks that he's got the chessboard in his favor. And simply put, is that there's over 2 million Cuban exiles that live in the United States. Many of them are in Florida, some in New Jersey, some in Texas. And those combined put together some pretty important congressional and presidential electoral college votes. So since Bill Clinton, the strategy of appealing to Cuban exile communities for political votes has been part of presidential gaming, shall we say. But the other thing with it is that right now you've also had another 2 million Cubans leave since 2021. So there's a huge deficit in population there. The population has decreased, and those who have left since that time are often younger and very well educated. So, you know, we hear all about Cuba having great number of doctors, nurses, engineers, even top athletes. Well, many of those people between the ages of 18 and 42 have left. So you're seeing now companies like Sherritt International, a Canadian mining company that operates in Cuba, saying we might have to get out of here because not only do we have an oil shortage, but we also have nobody here to fix anything if it breaks. So there's no engineers. And this is where, you know, the strategy of Trump trying to just sort of control the Americas comes into it. But we're seeing that right now it's such a moment for a humanitarian crisis to break out. And just to paint that picture, you've seen inflation go over 15% in Cuba informally, but in the informal economy, it's closer to 70%. Tropical diseases like dengue, chikungunya, Opeche virus, they're breaking out in the cities because the municipal waste trucks haven't been able to function correctly since last year due to a lack of parts, lack of fuel. We've even seen now that health indicators in Cuba, like infant mortality, have escalated from 5 deaths per thousand to now 14 per thousand in late 2025. For Cuba to be such a powerful player in health before then, it's a real tragedy. And the desperation's picking up. We've seen another 5,000 Cubans actually leave the country to join as mercenaries alongside Russia to fight with Ukraine. And for anyone who knows Cuba well, we know that these last few years just don't make sense in terms of what we would expect out of the Cuban government or the Cuban people.
Well, Robert, we really thank you this morning for sharing these thoughts, and I do look forward to reading your article in The Conversation, which comes out later today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Crystal.
All right, we do have to take a break. It is 8:28. We'll be back to wrap up the show right after this.
Still ahead, adventure is for everybody. We'll get details of a new travel guide featuring Nova Scotia's Eastern Shore. Those hidden gems won't be hidden any longer. That conversation coming up in 15 minutes here on Your Morning Atlantic.
Good morning, Atlantic Canada. Thank you so much for joining us. Time now is 8:31. I can't wait for spring and summer to get out there and travel around the region. I know you can do it in the winter too, but it's not my thing, so I'm stuck indoors for now.
It's easier in the winter. Definitely. I mean, rather in the summer. It's easier in the summer. Yeah, when the weather's, would be like, for example, the weather that we're having, it is challenging. The roads can be difficult to navigate. Like
True. Yeah.
I mean, today's not the day to head out for big adventures, unless, of course, you live maybe near the woods and you can walk there.
Well, it's true. And you know, a big place, if you are a fan of winter, a good place to explore is northern New Brunswick, like in Edmundston, really known for their snow trails up there and their outdoor activities, no matter the time of year. But yeah, especially the snow. If you want to go to a winter wonderland, well, let's take a whole look at Edmundston.
Well, they're like, you're talking about it, so I'm going to show the whole region. Yeah.
You know what? Usually the coldest place in New Brunswick, that's not the case today.
Wow, not today.
Mild there today. -5 degrees. And even yesterday, it was quite cold over there. So you can get outside and travel around and only seeing a bit of flurry activity for parts of New Brunswick. So starting off, -4 degrees in Fredericton, -2 in Charlottetown, -3 early this morning in Halifax, -1 in Sydney and into St. John's, Newfoundland. Here's a look at our wind chill for this morning for the Maritime region. Still going to feel colder, but temperatures will rise yet again into the afternoon. And there is that risk of frostbite early this morning in Labrador. A snowfall warning remains for parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island until this afternoon. We do have a snowfall warning and a freezing drizzle advisory for parts of Newfoundland. Same thing goes for parts of Labrador. So here's a look at our satellite and radar still dealing with this clipper for parts of the region, bringing snow, mixed precipitation for parts of Newfoundland, and for parts of the Maritime region, only seeing a chance of some flurry activity. In terms of the wind, though, it will be a bit of a breezy day. 43 kilometers per hour for sustained wind in Canso, 39 in Sydney, 37 into Grand Etang, and 31 in North Cape. Wind gusts of up to 59 kilometers per hour right now in Sydney, 46 in Charlottetown and in Grand Etang, 39 in Edmundston, as well as into Halifax. We'll take one last look at your long-range forecast just ahead, but first, one last look at your local news with Amanda.
Thanks, Latavia. And this storm system really impacting Nova Scotia the most this morning. Classes are canceled for all public schools in that province. Over in New Brunswick's Anglophone South School District, all buses in the St. Stephen Education Centre are running on a 1-hour delay, but schools are opening on time. And in PEI, many schools in central and eastern parts of the province are operating on a 1-hour delay. This is a look at conditions in the Bears Lake area of Halifax this morning before the snow was up. Snowplow operators, they've been working throughout the night trying to keep roads clear and stay ahead of the snowfall. Still, roads are pretty slick and snow covered in many areas thanks to this Alberta clipper. In the HRM, buses are on planned snow routes today, and in Cape Breton, in the CBRM, transit buses are actually not running this hour. There will be an assessment to see if they'll go back on the roads at 10 a.m. Weather conditions also being blamed for a number of collisions overnight, including this one on Millwood Drive in Middle Sackville. CTV News has reached out to our CMP for more details. There were reports of power lines on fire and at least one transit bus off the road, and also a stuck fire truck as well. Also last night at Halifax Stanfield Airport, a Porter Airlines flight from Toronto slid off the runway while taxiing, prompting the closure of that runway. No one was hurt. Airport buses transported passengers from the aircraft to the terminal building. The runway remains closed until the aircraft has been removed. Halifax Stanfield says there were no diversions due to the runway closure. Now, as for the weather, there are some ongoing delays and cancellations this morning. Travelers are being encouraged to check their flight status with their airline before heading to the airport. This closure not related to weather. Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick will remain closed until Saturday.
I know some people who have gone to Moncton or gone to other places because they're scared. I think the university did the right thing in closing the schools.
The campus was first shut down yesterday due to a concerning message discovered Monday that referenced February 11th. There's now a heavy police presence on campus. Neither the school or the RCMP would reveal what the concerning message was, but police do not think there is any concern for public safety. A statement from Mount A says the safety and well-being of the school community is its highest priority. A 41-year-old Moncton man has been charged with first-degree murder in connection with a case that dates back to 2021. In October of that year, police were called to a home in St. Paul to reports of a sudden death. The woman was identified as 33-year-old Hyde Jockelman. Investigators say new information emerged in the following years, and yesterday Alex Beers was charged with first-degree murder, unlawful confinement, and failure to provide the necessities of life. He remains in custody with another court date coming up in a few weeks. A major bridge spanning the Miramichi River in northeastern New Brunswick will be closed for repairs for 8 months, beginning April 1st. The 59-year-old Centennial Bridge needs new decks on its north and south approach spans, which will require another 8-month closure in 2027. The province's transport minister confirmed yesterday the province had awarded a contract for the next phase of the project, which has been on hold for years. The 1.1-kilometer-long bridge is a focal point in the city of Miramichi and is one of the largest structures in the province. PEI's new premier plans to shuffle his cabinet later today. Rob Lance was sworn in as premier earlier this week after winning the leadership of the ruling PC party. A ceremony to swear in the new members of cabinet is planned for this afternoon at Government House. Finally, Canada has another bronze medal at the Olympics in Italy. Figure skaters Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier finished third in ice dancing and will bring home the bronze, making their dreams of finally winning an Olympic medal come true. Now, it's been speculated their podium performance may be their last competitive outing together, so we'll have to wait and see. So far, Canada has 4 medals at the Winter Games. I was thinking about it this morning, too. We're almost a week into the games already.
I know.
Yeah.
Time's flying by.
Yeah. It's hard to be able to, like, catch up and watch it all.
It is hard. I mean, luckily, if you had more time, today might be a snow day for people. You could watch a lot of the action, but we do our best to watch it. I love that. I did see that performance, though. Love the Van Gogh-inspired Starry Night costumes. Beautiful. It was just gorgeous. All right, this one's for you, Amanda.
Me?
Thank you for your patience, Latavia. A lot of us have our favorite fantasy shows. They actually have a basis in reality, even shows about giant scaly creatures who breathe fire.
The dragons?
Yes, dragons. The Vancouver Aquarium has a new exhibit called Dragons. It aims to draw a link between creatures of fairy tales and legends with the real-life creatures that inspired those stories. I think I would love this, actually. The exhibit is available for visitors with vision loss, and there is a full-scaled, pun included, replica of each creature. So they'll have like dragon replicas, and then the animal like this. You can see this is a Komodo dragon. Like, it totally looks like a dragon.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you're in the Vancouver area, check it out.
Add it to the list. I was fortunate enough to see that aquarium in August of last year, but didn't have, well, that exhibit wasn't on at the time.
No.
What a shame.
I know.
Have to go back.
Exactly.
Yes, you do. All right, we'll take a look at some events taking place in our region. In Moncton, you can come out and enjoy the wonders of winter at Polar Fest. This will be taking place at Centennial Park and will host a lot of activities from February 13th until the 16th. There will be tobogganing, music, snowshoeing, ski trails, sleigh rides, and so much more. For additional details, you can head over to the website on your screen. And in Charlottetown, you can enjoy Latin Valentine's Day. It's a great party. Dance the night away, listening to live Latin music, and enjoy delicious Peruvian food. The event will take place at the Guild, Saturday, February 14th at 6:30 p.m. For tickets, head over to their website. And enjoy puppy love at the airport. This is called Smooch a Pooch. The pre-Valentine's Day therapy dog visit will be taking place this Friday, February 13th at the Halifax Stanfield International Airport. The event will offer a chance to snap a photo with a certified therapy dog and enjoy a lighthearted break before or after your journey. So the event runs from 8:30 a.m. until 4 p.m. And if you do have an upcoming event, please send us the details. We'd love to promote it on our community calendar. Send it to Your Morning Atlantic at ctv.ca. Time now, 8:40. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. The time now is 8:43. We're taking a live look at Yarmouth, actually. Starting off your day. This is Cape First Shoe, no? Okay, anyways, it is cloudy starting off your day. Not too bad in terms of our temperatures starting off the day as well. They are starting to warm up, but still a bit cooler for parts of Atlantic Canada. So as of right now, -3 degrees in Halifax, -1 in Sydney, -2 degrees over in Charlottetown, -4 in Fredericton, -1 starting off your day in St. John's, Newfoundland. Still holding on to a snowfall warning until this afternoon, looking at around 5 to 10 centimeters of accumulation. Heavies being over in Cape Breton Island, 15 to 35 centimeters. And then for Newfoundland, looking at a snowfall warning as well. And so this evening at around 5 to 25 centimeters of accumulation, a freezing drizzle advisory throughout the day today, as well as into parts of Labrador, looking at a freezing drizzle advisory and a snowfall warning for this evening until Friday, looking at around 20 to 30 centimeters. So here's a look at our forecast timeline. We are going to see a chance of some flurry activity for parts of New Brunswick as well as into the southern region of Nova Scotia. Other than that, Prince Edward Island dealing with snowfall, as well as the eastern region of Nova Scotia, Cape Breton Island, seeing a bit of mixed precipitation as well. There's that risk of freezing drizzle. Same thing goes for Newfoundland, looking at that mixed precipitation today. And then for Labrador, seeing snowfall for much of the province. Into the afternoon, much of the same is expected. We'll be seeing some sunshine return, though, for parts of New Brunswick and into Yarmouth. And the Tri-County area. And for the rest of the region, we're starting to see that the cloud coverage clear out into tonight, and still holding on to a bit of snowfall, though, for parts of Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Labrador. That will take us into early Friday morning. So if you're wondering about snowfall totals, looking at around 1 to 5 centimeters of accumulation for parts of New Brunswick, looking at 1 to 10 centimeters for Prince Edward Island, heaviest being into North Mountain at around 15 to 30 centimeters of accumulation. And then for Newfoundland and Labrador, it's not really showing on the board here, but we know it's going to be around 1 to 5 centimeters for parts of Labrador, heaviest being into St. Anthony at 15 to 30 centimeters in Newfoundland. Over to our forecast today for New Brunswick, starting off with some isolated flurries, clearing into the afternoon. They've got a mix of sun and cloud. Daytime highs will range from -4 to 2 degrees and wind gusts of 40. For Prince Edward Island, still dealing with snowfall throughout the day. We'll transition over to flurries into the evening with highs between -2 to -1. Cape Breton, eastern Nova Scotia, a bit of a tricky one here, starting off the day with snow, transitioning over to flurries, and then returning snow into the evening, so becoming a bit heavier into the evening hours. Daytime highs between -2 to +2 and wind gusts of 50. For the rest of Nova Scotia, looking at a chance of flurries throughout the day today with a high of 1. Wind gusts of 40 kilometers per hour. Labrador City looking at a high of -14 degrees today. Flurries transitioning over to steady snow. And 3 degrees for St. John's, Newfoundland, looking at snow, transitioning over to periods of drizzle with a risk of freezing drizzle as well. Friday's forecast, temperatures start to cool down, but we will be seeing sunshine return for the maritime region. Still holding on to a chance of some flurry activity for parts of Cape Breton Island. Newfoundland dealing with mixed precipitation yet again, and Labrador still dealing with some snowfall, taking us into Friday night. Much of the same expected, a bit of cloud coverage returns. And on Valentine's Day, looking at sunshine returning for the maritime region, temperatures becoming seasonal for the most part, and Newfoundland and Labrador looking at a bit of flurry activity, Crystal.
Looks like great weather, Latavia, for a little adventure. And Adventure is for Everyone is a guided journal created to help families and individuals slow down and explore Nova Scotia's eastern shore. Author Natalie Frederick Wilson joins us to talk about the new book and how adventure can start close to home. Natalie, great to have you wearing this hat today.
Yes, I know. A different hat today. Author hat.
Author hat. Well, I know I've been following your adventures with your family, the Wandering Wilsons, on social media. You do a great job with that.
Thank you so much.
So this book probably has been a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming. I've put it off, and it's actually one of our followers that kept saying, you have to put a book together.
Yeah.
And so we decided to do the Eastern Shore because we heard someone say it's the forgotten shore. And I thought, well, how could you forget the Eastern Shore? It really is gorgeous, and we should talk about it.
Yeah, and it's not that far away, and the book is full of all kinds of little secret hidden gems. I actually love, so now that I've looked at the book, I realize, oh my gosh, there are so many amazing things on the Eastern Shore.
Yes, definitely. When we first went on the Eastern Shore, I would say in 2019, we didn't have any experience going on that Route 7.
Yeah.
And then as we started driving and we saw that gorgeous home, as we started seeing the cliff areas, the 100 wide islands, we were just taking photos and photos and photos. We could not believe that people were missing out on this, and there weren't many people there.
Well, that's one of the reasons I love adventuring in Nova Scotia. You can sometimes feel like you're the only person on
Definitely,
the
definitely.
They're the Wandering Wilsons having a time. And you took photos everywhere, and the photos are in the book. And I have to say, Natalie, you've done a beautiful job. This shows the layout of the book. The photos are gorgeous, but it's also meant to be taken with you and used. Explain the journal element.
So the journal element is for that making memories together and then document. I want people to write that book up. I want them to cross things off. I want them to put memories in. And I also created it in a way that they feel like it's their adventure, not just reading a book and putting it down, something they can take with them, something that they can notate and plan. I have a planning section as well, because adventure can feel overwhelming if you haven't gone someplace before.
Yeah, you know what else I love about this book? You mentioned accessibility. Like, there are guides in here. There are activities, scavenger hunts. It's not expensive. Yeah. You basically could just, as long as you had transportation, you could spend nothing and have an amazing adventure by using your book.
It's also for armchair travelers. There are a lot of people who just don't adventure as much anymore. And I put a QR code in the back where if you can't get out and travel anymore, you can scan the QR code and you can see beach scenes, you know, boats going down the Eastern Shore, so that you can see it, you can spend some time writing about it, even if you cannot get there. So I want it to be accessible. Anyone can take it, they can dream, they can go, or they can go together.
Well, wow, you really have thought of everything. Where can people get this book?
Right now, they can get it at the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia, the Black Cultural Center, and very soon the Canadian Museum of Immigration. They can also get it from our website, Nova Scotia's Wandering Wilsons at square.site.
Okay, which we have that on our website, so it'll be easy to find. Well, congratulations on the book.
Thank you
it's
so
wonderful.
very much.
You know, now that you have this Eastern Shore book, people are going to want other regions explored in book form.
Definitely. The plan is to do the 5 main regions.
Yeah.
And we have all the photos gathered already, so now it's just putting it together.
Okay, well, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
And again, yeah, information about the book and how to get it is on our website. It's 8:50. We'll take one more break and wrap up the show after this.
The #1 morning show in Halifax. Turk, Megan, and Amateur Alex. And home to the biggest artists. Halifax's #1 hit music station. 101.3 Virgin Radio.
Welcome back. Oh, Natalie's so sweet, so smart. I love how that just opens up like these little pockets of Nova Scotia that you might not have seen.
Yes,
before.
exactly.
Encourages you to get out, make your own adventure.
Totally. She mentions the Dutch shop in Lawrencetown, which I've always seen the sign for it, but I've never been. And there's a picture of the inside of the store. I'd love to go. Delicious Dutch stroopwafels and licorice and candy.
Yum.
And like, let's go.
Ooh, yeah.
Maybe not today, but tomorrow.
Exactly.
Today, maybe you want to stay inside, enjoy a nice cup of joe.
Yeah.
It is National Latte Day, if you didn't know. So that was our Move Morning Chat this morning. We asked you how you enjoy your cup of coffee. And you know people like their coffee a certain way.
Yep.
Right? And you're going to stay that way for the most part. So here's what you had to say. Jessica from Prince Edward Island sent us a text. A good golden caramel Nespresso pod with frost, international delight of any flavor.
Ooh, Jessica.
That sounds rich. Hello. Don from Tattamagush. I love a cafe mocha in the morning as one of my cups of coffee. One of the cups of coffee. I put a teaspoon of hot chocolate in my mug that already has coffee cream in it. I mix it really well, then brew my coffee through the Keurig while stirring vigorously. It's so delicious.
Ooh, thanks for the tip. I'm going to try that.
That does sound really good. Easy, straightforward. Christine from Lunenburg keeps it simple. Water, coffee, hint of milk, easy peasy. That is my to-go-to.
My kind of gal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got to have the cream. Milk is just not rich enough for me.
Oh, we need to add a bit more. Okay, this is funny. Bernie from Rosse says, as I drink my morning coffee, I will tell you that in my humble opinion, the only way to drink coffee is black. That way you taste the true taste of coffee.
That's fair.
Many agree with you.
Many agree. My husband's one of them. I drank black coffee and then I got pregnant with my son and I went back to milk. I don't know what happened. Things change. Scott from Verdor, retired, and the hardest job I have is setting my coffee machine up before I go to bed with the good old Maxwell House regular roast with a shot of cream.
Yeah.
And then,
I love when Kyle does that too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, sets
Good
it for
one?
me in the morning, so I just have to press start.
Angel. And if you have the Maxwell, you got that giant canister.
Oh yeah.
Finally, Peggy from Mahone Bay. The best way to enjoy my coffee is with a hefty splash of Bailey's Irish cream.
Oh, on St. Patrick's Day, I'll be right there with you, Peggy.
Yeah, that's a stay-at-home coffee right there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have time for a last laugh. Time for a little magic show, which is pretty good, actually, but especially entertaining if you're a baby. Check it out.
All right, hang on. Go watch.
All right, I'm gonna disappear, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Where's Wawa? Oh no, Wawa.
Good one.
Oh my God.
Isn't that good?
The joy.
Yes. First of all, love the baby pot belly. Oh my God, it's my favorite. And this trick has been done to dogs. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, it's so
Oh my
funny.
gosh, you're gonna try it with my new poochies. Anyway, I thought it was actually really cute.
That's adorable. Well, that's it for the Thursday edition of Your Morning Atlantic. We hope you join us tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to highlight the Black Artists Network and the wonderful work they do around the region.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have Katie Kelly in for one last entertainment segment before she's off on maternity leave, so that'll be a special one.
Wow, we have the Thunderbirds Minute, and Mira will be joining us as well. I won't be here.
Okay.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Right,
See you next week.
See you next week.
Have a good one.